Chapter 733. Lin Chen didn't care. He rode the Dragon Emperor and flew away. After the mystical demon encirclement operation, Lin Chen's legend reached its climax in Firmament Pagoda. Countless battle emperors were searching for information about him. When they finally confirmed his identity, their emotions were surging. They exclaimed in admiration and clapped their hands in praise. Spiritual state, Lin Chen. On the 7th day after entering the demon battlefield, Lin Chen arrived at the 9th main city. The number of demon emperors here was terrifying. There were at least dozens of demon emperors in each territory. Some large territories with more than 100 demon emperors even had demon monarchs lying in wait. Even someone as strong as Lin Chen slowed down a lot after reaching this point. He relied on the Azure Dragon Shadow reflection to avoid a few areas with large territories. Demon monarchs had intelligence. Lin Chen wasn't afraid of a large territory. However, provoking one would alert other demon monarchs, which was equivalent to provoking a group of them. If he was besieged by hundreds or thousands of demon emperors and more than 10 demon monarchs, the feeling would be unparalleled. On the 8th day, Lin Chen arrived at the boundary mountain of the 10th main city, the demon battlefield. Inside the boundary mountain was the location of the demon eye of the divine land. Almost all the demons in the boundary mountain were below the rank of demon general. There were a large number of demon emperors, and even mid-level demon monarchs and high-level demon monarchs roamed here. Among the 10 main cities, the only place humans didn't dare to set foot in was the boundary mountain. Mid-level demon monarchs were comparable to 1st to 2nd Calamity Combat Emperors, and high-level demon monarchs were comparable to 3rd Calamity Combat Emperors. Even Lin Chen would have to take a detour if he saw an existence of this level. I see it. The Dean's Saint bloodline energy is inside the boundary mountain. Outside the boundary mountain, inside 2 valleys, Lin Chen hid in the cliffs. His purple-gold eyes flashed. In the center of the boundary mountain, there was an extremely powerful blue light energy flowing. A million miles away, the boundary mountain was divided into 2 halves. The center was a dark red demon eye that was 100 feet wide. Not far from the demon eye, there were 7 pieces of blue light crystals that were dozens of feet long. They were as beautiful jade. These were the saint bloodline energy of the saints. This was the battle chi energy condensed from the blood essence of a saint. It could be materialized into a physical form, and its saint might was boundless. Dozens of low-level demon monarchs, mid-level demon monarchs, and high-level demon monarchs stood beside the saint vein energy. They didn't dare to get too close. Those who could directly devour saint veins were at least saint demon kings. Only Saint Devil Kings could absorb the energy of Saint Veins. Even Saint Devil Monarchs would explode if they absorbed just a little bit of energy from Saint Veins. However, they could hide near Saint Veins and absorb a little of the residual energy from Saint Veins. To them, it was also a great supplement. The energy contained within the blood essence of a saint was vastly different from that of an Emperor Realm cultivator. Even a drop of saint blood had the boundless power to flatten mountains and rivers. This was why the vicinity of the demon eye was so dangerous. A large number of demon monarchs had gathered nearby to absorb the saint vein energy that leaked out. The key is how to avoid the perception of those mid-level and high-level demon monarchs. There's also the terrifying pressure of the demon eye. It's not something that ordinary creatures can approach. Lin Chen frowned. It was only after he personally arrived that he realized what the Vice Dean meant when he said that only those who were invincible in the 9 prefectures were qualified to approach this place. Relying on his current strength, it was still not enough. If he encountered 2 or more mid-level demon monarchs, it was possible for them to push him to the ground. Lin Chen continued to advance. Bai Ruoyun turned into a snow-white jade slip and hid on his body. He used the Azure Dragon Possession and used the Azure Dragon Vanishing Shadow. He hid his aura and carefully approached the demon eye. He was very slow, and he didn't even dare to fly. Those several hundred zhang tall demon monarchs were hiding 1,000 li away from the 7 saint veins. They were resting with their eyes closed, and each of them occupied an area, forming an encirclement. When Lin Chan approached the inner region of the Heaven Border Mountain, he didn't dare to breathe loudly. When he was still 40,000 li away from the demon eye, Lin Chen's bones emitted a oppressive sound. The all-pervasive, baleful aura of the demon race entered his body. He was almost relying on the pure strength of his flesh shell to resist the corrosion of this oppressive aura. What a terrifying, oppressive aura. If I continue to approach like this, I'll have to circulate my battle chi to resist this oppressive aura. Lin Chen stopped and fell into deep thought. If he circulated his battle chi hell, his location would be exposed. If more than a dozen demon monarchs and countless demon emperors attacked him together, he would die here even if he had a cultivation of level 9. The demon eye under the spiritual state didn't release such terrifying oppressive aura because it was suppressed by the Dean's saint body. The seal of the Sky Tower had been broken once, and the second seal was incomplete. While Lin Shun was troubled, a purple-black light suddenly flashed in his palm and enveloped Lin Chen's body. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless demon race oppressive auras washed over Lin Chen. The purple-black light that enveloped Lin Chen trembled slightly and absorbed all the demon race's aura into his palm. This is the demon seal that the mysterious person left for me. Staring at the demon seal in his palm, Lin Chen was a little surprised. The purple-black demon seal flashed and swallowed all the demon race's oppressive auras like a whale swallowing thousands of li. The oppressive aura on Lin Chen's body instantly disappeared. It vanished without a trace, without any pressure. So this is how the demon seal is used. Lin Chen was wild with joy. He ran as if he was flying, jumping up and down without fear of being discovered. He continued forward. The 40,000 li gradually shortened. After crossing several mountains, Lin Chen arrived at the central shop of the Sky Boundary Mountain. He was still 10,000 li away from the demon eye, 8,000 li away from the Saint Vein energy, and 7,000 li away from the demon monarchs. There's only one problem left. How do I lure these guys away? If I fight a mid-level demon monarch head-on, I can still escape. If it is a high-level demon monarch, I won't have a chance to fight them unless I use the 9 Tribulation Star or the Azure Bright Moon. Lin Chen fell into deep thought. As long as he took away 7 pieces of the Saint Vein energy, he could activate this super-dimensional teleportation and escape. However, even the slightest abnormality could alert more than a dozen demon monarchs. There was only one possibility now, and that was to try to use the phantom doppelgangers to attract their attention. Let's give it a try. I hope my 4 phantom doppelgangers can attract all of them far enough away. Lin Chen held his breath and concentrated. If the doppelgangers moved later, even if there were 2 more high-level demon monarchs, he might not be able to snatch the 7 pieces of the Saint Vein energy. He might be able to deal with a high-level demon monarch. System. Activate the Phantom Talisman. Wait a moment. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. On the other side of the mountain to his left, 12 figures appeared. Moreover, they were also from the human race who had infiltrated this place. Among these 12 people, 11 of them were at the late stage of the 9th stage. They were almost all the top experts of the 9 prefectures. The young man in the lead was actually the doppelganger of the fake god who drank the blood of the fortune teller. The young man in the green robe was holding a green feather umbrella that was constantly spinning. It overflowed with mysterious ripples of space, hiding everyone's aura. That green feather umbrella was the life tool of a top fortune teller. If not for the fact that Lin Chen's mental power had skyrocketed and his purple golden eyes had improved, he wouldn't have discovered it. They're also here to steal the Saint Vein energy? Ha ha! Awesome. I'm really King Sleepy, and now I have a pillow. At this moment, Lin Chen grinned. He was grinning like a child. I haven't sung for a long time. Is it because you're too beautiful? Or is it because I sing Mouse Loves Rice? Or is it because I burn calories? Chapter 734. Later, you guys will split into two groups. Long Can, Di Ming, and I will attract their attention. You guys wait for an opportunity to take all the holy meridian energy. The young man in green said indifferently, "You know that if I die, the holy meridian energy will be of no use to you. So you have to be fast." Everyone nodded. Except for Long Can, the other 10 people were all old monsters from Jiuzhou. Some of them were even old monsters who had not appeared in the world for 100,000 years. They were terrifyingly strong. They were all fierce characters in the late stage of the 9th tier. For people like them, it was impossible for them to come out of seclusion without any substantial benefits. It was all because this true God's avatar had promised them that if they could get the holy meridian energy, he would share a part of the energy to create a holy body for them. Although it was called a holy body, it was nothing more than absorbing a little holy chi or the energy of a saint. But for them, it was the only opportunity after countless years. In the past, the fake gods were still afraid. But now, they had completely laid their cards on the table. They wanted to forcibly descend on Jiuzhou and use all possibilities to increase their strength, forcibly kill Lin Shun, and even invade Jiuzhou. Just as the 10 people continued to approach, they began to split into two groups, one in the south and one in the west. At this time, Lin, who was lurking on a cliff, put on his self-made sunglasses. He had a serious expression as he talked to himself. You might not know what it means to sing in the sky border mountain. I usually only use 2 words to describe this kind of person. Outstanding. Ambush him. Don't fight in front first. There's no need to rush this operation. I'm definitely going to show off. I'll sing "Look Over Here" and make a fortune in silence. Suddenly, 2 silver-robed figures appeared in the sky, descending from the void without any warning. They appeared out of thin air, without any means to hide their aura. They were Lin Chen's 2 avatars. The avatars, one in the south and one in the west, appeared 100 miles behind the 2 groups of 12 people, standing on top of a mountain. If you want to ask how strong Lin Chun is, you have to see how high the sky is. The young man's laughter rang out, and the pupils of the green-robed young man in front of the group shrank. What kind of bad luck was this today? To actually meet Lin Chen here? Lin Chen's clone was holding a purple sandalwood guitar that he had made himself. Dragon whiskers were used as strings, and he crossed his legs on the top of the mountain. He held the guitar in his left hand and brushed his fringe with his right hand. There was a coquettish smile on his face. If you want to know how flirtatious Lin Chun is, it depends on how high the sky is. What is he trying to do? When Long Can saw the guitar in Lin Chen's hand, his legs went soft and his teeth chattered. He was really afraid of Lin Chun, this demon god. From a moment he challenged the fake god family. This boy's style of doing things was unimaginable. The next moment he suddenly infused a wisp of battle aura into his self-made guitar. His fingertips plucked the strings, and a graceful string sound drifted out. Then, the young man's bright laughter, which was enveloped by boundless spiritual energy and battle aura, spread for 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles. Demon King on the other side, look over here, look over here, look over here. The operation here is very exciting. Please don't pretend to ignore it. Demon King on the other side, look over here, look over here. Don't be frightened by my appearance. Actually, I'm very cute. Hiss. At this moment, the 12 people, including the young man in the green shirt, gasped, and their scalps went numb. Where did this weirdo come from? F***CK. He's actually singing in the demon eye area of dozens of demon kings and thousands of demon emperors. And he's even F***king looking over here. F***CKU. You're not cute. Boom. The singing started, and the demon kings opened their eyes that were flashing with blood-red light. Their auras fluctuated, and they immediately reacted. The sorrow of the most handsome boy, if I say it out loud, who will understand. I beg you to throw a flirtatious glance over here, coax me, and make me happy. I looked left and right, up and down. It turns out that every demon king is not simple. I thought about it and guessed, and the demon king's thoughts are really strange. Crazy. He must be crazy. Let the Demon King throw a flirtatious glance at you? You've lost your mind. You've definitely lost your mind. Let the Demon King coax you? You're crazy. This singing voice was mixed with Lin Fan's intermediate heaven completion realm spiritual force and 9 types of heavenly tribulation battle chi. Once he started singing, not only did it spread out of the heaven boundary mountain, but it also spread to the human territory outside the 10th main city. Dozens of peak combat emperors heard it. What's going on? Who's singing? It seems to be coming from the direction of the heaven boundary mountain. Impossible. There are even high-level demon kings over there, other than the pagoda master, who dares to go near that place. F***CK. It's really the heaven boundary mountain. What's going on? Which deity dares to enter the heaven boundary mountain to sing? That's not right. I didn't drink too much last night. Old Lin, try slapping me and see if I'm dreaming. F***CK. You're really going to hit me? Dozens of 8th and 9th level combat emperors came out from their seclusion and appeared high up in the sky. Their faces were filled with panic and astonishment, and they were quite frightened as they stared at each other with their eyes wide open. Strange. It was really too strange. What kind of place was the Heaven Boundary Mountain? It was known as one of the most dangerous areas in the myriad demon battlefield. Other than the Pagoda Master and a few people in history, no one dared to enter it. No one knew what the hell was inside. The only thing they could be sure of was that there were as many demon kings as there were dogs and a bunch of demon kings. There were even high-level demon kings in the legends. Even if they gathered all the combat emperors in the 9 prefectures, they wouldn't be able to fight their way in, because it wasn't a place that mortals could enter. If it wasn't for the fact that the demon race couldn't break out of the firmament tower, the 9 prefectures would have been plunged into misery and suffering. And there's actually someone singing in that godforsaken place where combat emperors could die instantly. Wasn't this like seeing a ghost? The hearty singing came again, causing the scalps of the combat emperors to explode. The demon king opposite, look over here, look over here, look over here. The most handsome boy is in love for the first time. I need you to give me some love. F***CK. That's insane. I've lived long enough to see this. There's still someone in the Heaven Boundary Mountain who wants some love from the Demon King? I can't afford it. I really can't afford it. This love is too F***King heavy. I'm afraid I'll be slapped until I shit out. Then, the singing and string music continued. Hi. I've looked left and right, up and down. It turns out that every Demon King is not simple. I've thought about it and guessed. The Demon King's thoughts are really strange. All the experts were shocked and racked their brains. What kind of deity could have such a divine ability? Could it be that a Saint Realm expert was born? Among the many battle emperors, a handsome man nodded thoughtfully. It's nice. Inside the Heaven Boundary Mountain, angry roars shook the heavens and the earth, as if they wanted to tear the sky apart. Thousands of demons were boiling. Exploded. Everyone exploded. No matter if it was the experts of the human race or the demon kings, they all exploded on the spot. He stroked his chin and observed the situation and opportunities, trying his best to lure out the high-level demon monarchs. Boom! At this time, another 2 mid-level demon monarchs and a high-level demon monarch stood up. From over 20,000 miles away, they stared at the 12 of them with their blood-red eyes. Not good. Even a high-level demon monarch is coming. Longkin was so shocked that he lost his voice. He looked at his master behind him in fear. The green-robed young man gnashed his teeth in hatred. His hatred for Lin Shan was so great that even the 3 rivers and 5 lakes would not be able to wash it away. Son of a bitch, a mere mortal can ruin my plan time and time again. He is just an ant. In front of my true body, he is just a piece of trash. An ant that can be crushed with a finger. The Saint Vane energy was right in front of him. It was not easy for him to avoid the detection of the firmament tower and sneak into this place. Unexpectedly, it was ruined by Lin Chun again. Lin Chun's strength was like an ant to him, so weak that it was not even worth mentioning. However, he was defeated time and time again because of this ant. No living creature could accept this kind of humiliation. Southeast retreat. Longkin used the Saint body again and rush out. The green-robed young man shouted. Longkin could only clench his teeth and activate the Saint body. His body twisted and turned into a 10,000 zhang long golden dragon. This time, he had used the Saint body too much. He would pay a heavy price. Bang! The golden dragon collided with the first mid-grade demon monarch and fought fiercely in all directions. The dragon waved its claws and destroyed the demon monarchs along the way. It seemed that they were evenly matched. Chi! Bang! The four old monsters were instantly sent flying by a high-grade demon monarch. They were seriously injured, and their killing intent was overwhelming. A high-grade demon monarch was at least comparable to a 3 tribulation combat emperor. A late 9th heaven demon monarch was no match for it. The green-robed young man's face was solemn. He turned around, and the green feather umbrella spun rapidly. Countless thin silvery light enveloped the area. Spring's silkworm spit silk. The silvery light was like a net that caught the high-grade demon monarch. He had originally planned to save this move for Lin Shun. He did not expect to use it here. Retreat. The green-robed young man's face was pale. His mental strength and chi and blood were decreasing rapidly. The 12 of them rushed to the southeast, where the number of demon monarchs was the weakest. They were trying to break out. The 2 clones were also being chased by the demon monarchs. The clone activated the 7-fold transformation and temporarily broke through to the late 8th heaven demon monarch. Host continues to activate the recharge rune, consuming 30,000 rune energy. 30,000 rune energy. Activating the purple rank sovereign descent, consuming 690,000 talent points. Cooldown time, 29 days. Entering the state of accumulating energy, 0 points. The energy points will increase the host's next attack. The clone's body was surrounded by a green light as he activated the ultimate moment. The 9 tribulation combat body was activated, and the dragon force was unleashed inch by inch. The clone held the meridian sword that was as bright as a star jade and slashed down. A green light flashed across the tip of the sword, and it was like a giant dragon dancing in the sky. Blazing green moon slash. The green slash that was thousands of feet long was like a tornado that swept across the sky and pierced through countless demon monarchs. Even though the demon monarchs were in groups and were fearless of death, Lin Chen's strength was comparable to a 9th heaven demon monarch. With the help of the meridian sword, swordsmanship, talent, and 9 tribulation combat body, it was as if he could destroy mountains and rivers. Swoosh! Swoosh! A progress bar popped up from the system, and the number kept increasing. It was the energy accumulation of the sovereign descent. It had exceeded 400,000 points in an instant. In Lin Chen's eyes, it was still not enough. His cultivation was not what it used to be, and he needed a higher amount of energy to increase his strength. With a wind emperor bow in his hand, he drew the bow and shot an arrow that could shatter the sky. The arrow was like a falling star, and countless demon monarchs exploded. Chi! 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 A large number of demon monarchs disappeared under the arrow. Apart from the penetration rune, Lin Chen's 2 clones had almost used all their strength. The clone took away all the demon monarch's crystals with the silent step technique, and the blank attribute increased rapidly. The clone drew the bow and shot arrows that fell from the sky like auroras. Every arrow killed several demon monarchs like chickens being slaughtered. Fatal Bloodthirst has been successfully activated, healing 29% of the damage received, triggering the combination of innate skills. The clone triggered the combination of innate skills. Lin Shun was wild with joy. He immediately used the Sovereign's Descent talent from the innate skill combination. Swoosh! A progress bar popped up from the system, and the energy accumulated was 0 points. Host has used 2 purple rank innate skills at the same time. The energy accumulation will be divided into 2 states, which will increase the host's next attack. 2 progress bars? Double Sovereign Descent. Damn it, it came at the right time. Lin Shun, I'm going to blast them to smithereens this time. Lin Shun was so excited that he almost jumped up and exhaled. Chapter 736. Rip. As the sword aura flashed, the two clones covered each other and fought each other. Their cooperation was flawless. Boom! Finally, another 4 mid-level demon monarchs stood up. Their bloodthirsty and empty eyes flashed with ruthless blood. They finally realized the threat of Lin Shun. They didn't expect this puny human to have such power. They had never seen a human with such low cultivation but such powerful combat strength. These demon monarchs weren't low-level demons. They had higher intelligence. Unless something major happened, they wouldn't easily leave the vicinity of the holy vein energy. It's finally here. Battle intent overflowed. The clone swung Meridian 7 times. The sword light was like the 7 stars in the sky. Meridian Meteor. This sword was like the 7 stars coming from the west. It flashed continuously and killed 2 mid-level demon monarchs. Knocking a one-time use tier 7 high-grade arrow Dragon Cry arrow, the clone shot the arrow. The arrow whistled like the roar of a dragon. Dark Shadow Sky. The 3 demon monarchs roared and pushed their claws forward. Their auras collided like dragons, and a mushroom cloud exploded. Both parties retreated quickly. A human-like astonishment flashed across the demon monarch's eyes. This human's attack actually had the remaining power to penetrate their bodies? They can fight. As long as I keep the penetration and charging runes active, my 2 clones can barely stop 3 mid-level demon monarchs. Lin Shin dodged slightly and sneaked to the other side, where there was only 1 high-level demon monarch left. Those 12 fellows have already attracted more than half of the demon emperors and several demon monarchs from the Heaven Boundary Mountain. There are still 6 demon monarchs that haven't moved. I can only take the risk. Once the demon monarchs outside the Heaven Boundary Mountain join in, the situation will become even more complicated. This is my only chance to fight with my life on the line. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Another 2 clones appeared from thousands of miles away. 4 clones appeared at the same time. The 4th doppelganger wielded Dragon Glory and charged into the horde of fiend emperors that were charging at him. The Bright Moon Mirror technique was executed perfectly, and it was a perfect combination of attack, defense, and speed. The fiend emperors were forced to retreat again and again. Received 10 blank attribute points, 20 blank attribute points, 10 blank attribute points. First energy accumulation, 500,000, 520,000, 530,000. Second energy accumulation, 150,000, 160,000, 180,000. The 2 energy bars rose rapidly. Lin Chen's 2 moves, Sovereign's Descent, continued to accumulate energy. Boom! Finally, a mid-level demon monarch and a high-level demon monarch sensed the abnormality and charged out again. The 3rd clone was on guard, retreating step by step, purposely dragging them away from the location of the holy vein energy. Suddenly, a snow-white figure as beautiful as a fairy descended from the sky. The Dragon Emperor had come into being and was protecting the beauty closely. Sister Royan, be careful, Lin Chun instructed. The beautiful woman smiled and nodded. As the profound Azure Dragon domain was released, the dragon tail swayed, and a section of the Azure Dragon sword violently chopped down at the high-level demon monarch flying out. Clang! The peerless dragon sword that could divide mountains and rivers slashed down on the high-level demon monarch's body, but it was blocked by its arm, not injuring him the slightest. Although the Dragon Emperor was strong, the opponent was, after all, comparable to a 3 Calamity Combat Emperor. Even delaying for time was extremely difficult. The high-level demon monarch raised its hand and slapped down. The sound of ripping cloth could be heard in the air. While it easily broke through the profound Azure Dragon domain, it also wanted to completely tear apart the Dragon Emperor's Dragon Scale defense. It was almost defeated in a single exchange. 7 extremes force. Boom, boom. The terrifying fist wind was like a dragon's roar. The clone appeared like a ghost and punched the upper body of the high-level demon monarch. Bang! The space cracked, and the explosion was shocking. This punch contained the three extremes of cutting, tearing, and pulling. The high-level demon monarch, which was hundreds of feet tall, was forced to take 2 small steps back. The clone's aura soared, and the wind from its fists was like a violent storm. Every punch contained the 7 extremes force. Pulling, twisting, penetrating, double penetration. The energy was like a dragon, twisting like a dragon. It actually forced the high-level demon monarch to retreat with 3 million dragon power points. Bang! Bang! The clone went all out and punched 100 times in half a breath's time. The berserk dragon power energy was infused with penetration runes into the high-level demon monarch's body in different ways. Crack! The clone's arm was broken. It was overused. Lin Chen's dragon power was barely enough for him to use the first 5 kinds of force of the 7 extremes force. The last 2 kinds were explosive force and killing force. It was still not enough. Bang! The clone was crushed with a palm, and the clone exploded. The high-level demon monarch's ruthless eyes were filled with rage. It was actually injured by such a weak human. Host activated the Phantom Rune. 250,000 runes of energy have been consumed. Shua, space distorted, and Lin Chen's doppelganger, who was using silent steps, appeared once again with a sly smile on his face. Trash demon monarch, come and hit me. The demon monarch roared. His ruthless eyes flashed with brutal killing intent. He charged at the clone, and the fierce battle started again. At this moment, the scene was extremely chaotic. Lin Chen almost held his breath. When he was 3,000 miles away from the Saint Bloodline Crystal, he was about to activate the heavenly invisibility rune to snatch it. Wong, wong, wong. Battle aura rippled, and a rapidly spinning green feather umbrella suddenly appeared above Lin Chen's head. The green light of the feather umbrella shone in the gorge, attracting the attention of 4 demon monarchs. Lin Chen's position was exposed. He actually abandoned his fortune teller's life artifact and wanted to drag Lin Chen down to die here. Lin Chen's mouth twitched. 3 mid-level demon monarchs and a high-level demon monarch instantly locked onto him. Baleful aura surged, and a chill spread throughout his body. Spreading his phoenix wings furiously, Lin Chen, who was rapidly retreating, suddenly felt a boundless baleful aura like a savage dragon biting at him from behind. A large number of demon emperors rushed out from the mountain peak behind him. The green-robed youth let the other 11 people go, and he led 2 demon monarchs and a large number of demon emperors back. The green-robed youth laughed loudly. Haha, Lin Chen, you didn't expect this, right? This time, even if I have to abandon the backup of this clone, I will still kill you. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. This fake god old fox still has a trick up his sleeve at this critical juncture. There was a fierce tiger in front and a pack of wolves behind. Now, it wasn't that the demon monarchs were looking over, but that they were pouncing over. Come. I, Lin Chen, will turn the world upside down. Superdimensional innate skill has been successfully used. Host has set the current position as the 6th spatial coordinate. After activating the innate skill, Lin Chen actually rushed toward the densely packed demon emperors and the green-robed youth. This action stunned even the green-robed youth. This kid actually didn't run. There were still 2 mid-level demon monarchs behind him. In addition, the ones who discovered Lin Chen were 6 demon monarchs. The 4 clones immediately retreated as if they had a tacit understanding. The Dragon Emperor brought by Royan and escaped into the void. Then let's have fun until the end. The 4 demon monarchs behind him closed in, and the 2 demon monarchs and thousands of demon emperors in front of him blocked his path of retreat. Lin Chen grinned wildly, beginning to lock onto those hostile to the host within a radius of 100,000 miles. Initiating 5-blow thunderstruck sure kill attack. Rumble. 5 colored thunderclouds that filled the sky, and earth rose up like a tidal wave. All the demons were locked onto. This kid actually still has such a trump card. The green-robed youth's scalp went numb. It was this killing move that couldn't even be avoided. Even as a saint-level fortune-teller, he had never seen such a strange attack in this world that could completely lock onto a living being. What a mother of asterisk king dog. Chapter 737. Five Blow Thunderstruck, Strike His Mother. Lin Shun pointed to the sky and roared, causing the wind and clouds to change. Chi! Boom! The five-colored thundercloud tore through the sky and struck down 1,000 feet thick, 100 feet long five-colored thunderbolt. Bang! 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 At this moment, endless five-colored thunderbolts were reflected between heaven and earth. They were colorful, beautiful, and murderous. What kind of scene was that? Countless miles away, the combat emperors in the 10th city outside the Boundary Mountain could clearly see the colorful thunderbolts in the center of the Boundary Mountain. They lit up the sky as if they were going to tear it apart. Those below the Demon Lord level would be turned into ashes. The Demon Imperial crystals in the sky were torn apart, leaving only the white attribute balls. Low-level Demon Lords were seriously injured in just a few hits and continued to be bombarded until they died. Mid-level Demon Lords were not seriously injured, but most of them were entangled. High-level Demon Lords ignored the power of the five-blow thunderstruck and continued to charge toward Lin Shun. Annihilation! Boom! The 1,000-feet-long spiritual light beam, with the power of annihilation, crossed the sky and collided with the young man in green, who was still accumulating injuries from the five-blow thunderstruck. Poochie! The young man in green vomited blood. The moment the dark tribulation vortex twisted, Lin Shun appeared 1,000 feet away from the young man in green and punched out with both fists. Rip! It was as if there were 10,000 dragons galloping through the air. The wind from his fists smashed through everything in its path. The fist wind turned into a knife, like a dragon tearing, like an eagle pulling. Several different forces merged and connected, penetrating the body of the young man in green and blowing him up. Whoosh! More than a dozen human-shaped attribute balls fell from the sky. It was the first time Lin Shun had seen such a big attribute ball. However, he didn't have the chance to care about it. He turned around and saw 2 high-level Demon Lords and 4 mid-level Demon Lords within 1,000 miles of him. Sovereign's Descent activated. First accumulated energy, 95 million points. Host's next attack will be enhanced. Boom! The 9-colored battle aura of calamity gathered in his palm and condensed into a star. Lin Shun hurled it out. A bunch of damn things, try this. The 9 tribulation star shone with 9 auroras and crashed into the 6 demonic monarchs like a shooting star. Instinctive fear appeared in their eyes. There was no earth-shattering explosion. Instead, there was only a 9-colored beam of light that suddenly spun and bloomed. It shot straight into the sky. As the light pillar spun, it was as though everything had been annihilated. Apart from the Saint Bloodline crystal, which remained unmoving, all the Demon Lords were swept into the 9-colored light pillar. It was as though they had been destroyed. With the energy crystal of 3-inch calamity protecting his body, Lin Shun used Silent Step and retreated in a flash. He stared at the 9-colored pillar of light. This time, the 9 tribulation star was infinitely close to the 9 tribulation star created by the 4 great talents in the spiritual state. With my current cultivation level and elemental attributes, the 9 tribulation star can at most threaten a 2nd tribulation battle emperor. Among the 2 high-level demon monarchs, one of them is the strongest. It might even be comparable to a 4th tribulation battle emperor. The demon race's vitality was extremely tenacious. Even with the 9 tribulation star, he didn't have absolute confidence in defeating it. When the 9-colored light pillar dissipated, Lin Shun's heart shook. The bodies of the 2 demon monarchs, which were hundreds of feet tall, were still standing. One of them, which had more than half of its body missing, was still alive. There was a hint of fear in its ferocious eyes. The other demon monarch was almost heavily injured. Its upper body had a 10-foot gap. It was the high-level demon monarch comparable to a fourth tribulation battle emperor. It became the main force to resist Lin Chen's 9 tribulation star. Even so, the 4 mid-level demon monarchs had already been reduced to ashes. Whoosh! Just as the 2 demon monarchs were about to fight Lin Chun to the death, for figures, including Byroyan and the Dragon Emperor, appeared the 7 Saint Bloodline crystals at the same time. They opened the special jade box prepared by the Vice Dean and stored all the Saint Bloodline crystals inside. Beautiful! Lin Chen clapped his hands and praised. 2 of the clones activated super-dimensional teleportation and teleported to Lin Chen's side. They stored the 7 Saint Bloodline crystals in their storage rings. Everything was settled. Running away like a yo-yo was the right thing to do. The other 2 clones pretended to charge at the 2 demon monarchs, but in reality, they were going to collect the white attribute light balls of the fallen demon monarchs. Bang! After collecting the attributes, the clones were killed by the high-level demon monarch with 1 punch. Lin Chun used his talent points to speed up the cooldown of his super-dimensional teleportation talent. There were only 50 seconds left. Brother Lin Chun, this is bad. Byroyan rushed to Lin Chen's side, and her expression changed slightly. 50,000 miles away from the boundary mountain, 2 creatures with overflowing killing intent descended. Looking at their aura, they were completely above the high-level demon monarchs. Could they be peak demon monarchs? Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Peak demon monarchs were creatures of the demon race that were second only to the Saint Demon King. They were on par with the 5th tribulation combat emperors of the human race. Peak demon monarchs would wander around the demon battlefield outside the boundary mountain. They were more intelligent and wanted to find a chance to break through the firmament tower and rush out of the outside world. Now that they sensed Lin Chen's invasion, they quickly rushed to the boundary mountain. Rumble! A gust of wind swept past. Lin Chen pulled by Ruoyan and frantically retreated. The 2 high-level demon monarchs chased after them. Superdimensional teleportation still has 30 seconds of cooldown. We must delay them for 30 seconds. Sister Ruoyan, come in, Lin Chen shouted. Byroyan gritted her teeth and turned into a snow-white jade slip and entered Lin Chen's arms. She couldn't even stop creatures of this level. She could only leave it to Lin Chen. Combination technique. Sovereign's Descent activated. Energy accumulated. 95 million points. It will increase the host's next attack. 95 million points. The second Sovereign's Descent would double the value of the previous one. Chi. An overwhelming red, baleful aura accompanied 2 figures that were hundreds of meters tall. 2 human-shaped peak demon monarchs stepped out. Their steps were like rivers and rivers, crossing thousands of miles with a single step. The trembling spatial crystal wall cracked. Lin Chen felt that if they fought at close range, the other party could crush him to death with just their aura. A 5th tribulation combat emperor could crush a 9th-stage combat emperor with a raise of his hand. They weren't on the same level at all. Human race, trespassing into my race's habitat. Die. The leading peak demon monarch could actually speak human language. Your IQ isn't high, but your skin is quite thick. This is the territory of my human race. When did it become your habitat? Shameless, 7 extremes force. Lin Chen, who had retreated to the demon eye, sneered. His shoulders shook, and his aura was monstrous like a raging dragon. When the 3 million points of dragon power gathered on Lin Chen's right arm, he faced the 4 demon monarchs that were less than 1,000 miles away from him and punched out. 7 extremes force, 5 forces combined. Bang! The dragon power that could overturn heaven and earth exploded. Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. The bones in his right arm were broken. This move was too forceful for him. The 5 forces used different methods to crush the 4 demon monarchs. The leading peak demon monarch couldn't help but sneer. What a pitifully weak attack. Boom! The demon monarch wanted to resist the punch, but before he could finish his sentence, the power of Lin Chen's punch suddenly skyrocketed. It wasn't just 3 million points of dragon power. The moment the limit was broken, it broke through 10 million points of dragon power. He still didn't know. After 10 million points of dragon power, it increased to 20 million points of dragon power. Even Lin Chen himself didn't know to what extent the power of this punch was increased by the sovereign's descent talent. Chapter 738. What? Bang! The fist wind blasted in front of them and instantly exploded. Angry waves surged into the sky. The 5 types of energy merged into one and pierced through their bodies with the force of cutting, tearing, pulling, twisting, and finally penetrating. While constantly grinding out their vitality, it sent the 4 demon lords flying. His arm was dripping with blood, but Lin Chen still maintained his full speed of retreat. The next moment, the phenomenon suddenly changed. Chi, the dark red demon eye, exploded with a murderous aura, and a strange dark red palm stretched out from within. It suddenly traveled 50 kilometers and grabbed at Lin Chen like lightning. In front of this dark red palm, Lin Chen was unable to resist at all. He was instantly suppressed to the point that he could not move. Kakik, what young human brat, become this king's food. The demon eye let out an evil cry, and Lin Chen's pupils shrank. With a thought, he connected to the system's 3 great talents, Sun God, God Slayer, and Absolute Life and Death. He had no other choice. The palm that stretched out from the demon eye was in no way inferior to a peak demon lord. It suppressed Lin Chen in a single exchange. Because of the mysterious person's demon seal, Lin Chen was immune to the demonic aura pressure of the demon eye, causing him to almost forget about the existence of the demon eye. He focused on pulling away from the 2 peak demon lords, and the result was that he was instantly ambushed. Just as Lin Chen was about to fight to the death and use his 3 strongest talents to buy time, the purple-black demon seal in his palm suddenly emitted an aurora and absorbed the stars. It was as if the sea was roaring. Rip! A terrifying suction force suddenly erupted from Lin Chen's palm. Endless demonic aura surged out from the demon eye and was all absorbed into the demon seal. Even the dark red palm was torn apart and refined into Lin Chen's demon seal. Gee, why do you have the aura of that race? Damn it, so it's that group of old things. After 1,000,000 years, there's still an inheritance in this world? A sharp scream came from the demon eye. Lin Chen was stunned for a breath. He subconsciously circulated his battle chi and spiritual power to check his body. There was nothing abnormal. It's time. System Space 4. Teleporting to space number 4, consuming 15 million talent points. Shwa! A beam of light broke through space above his head. Lin Chen's figure instantly vanished. The storm seemed to have calmed down in an instant. Countless devil emperors and low-level devil monarchs who had rushed looked around, but they did not see the aura of a human. On this day, the devils of the world mountain suffered unprecedented damage. More than half of the mid-level devil monarchs died. More than half of the low-level devil monarchs died. And more than a third of the devil emperors died. These guys actually woke up. In the 10th main city, the Tower Master floated in the air, his deep eyes staring into the distance. His injuries from the previous battle had yet to fully recover. It was precisely because the seal on the demonic eye was incomplete that those fellows in the demon's den were able to extend a portion of their power to the outside world. Even he couldn't easily get close to the demonic eye. Once he did, he would alarm those creatures. Main city number 1, Golden Prison Mountain Range. Lin Chen fell beside a cliff. His breathing was rapid, and he was still in shock. This time, entering the World Mountain could be said to be a matter of life and death. The jade simplified in a white light, and Bai Ruoyan appeared. She held his hand with a worried expression. Little brother Lin Chen, are you all right? Do you feel anything strange? No, it's very strange. Lin Chen shook his head and stared at the demonic seal on his left palm. The purple-black demonic seal flickered for a moment before dimming down and hiding in Lin Chen's body. This thing is still hiding in my body after absorbing the palm of that devil race creature. However, I'm not affected at all. Lin Chen's expression was extremely solemn. It was precisely because of such a huge change that this demonic seal did not change. This was called serious. This proved that this demonic seal was completely out of Lin Chen's control. Moreover, it could even completely suppress creatures above the peak of the Devil Monarch realm. That devil race creature called himself a king. Could it be that he was a Saint Devil King? Lin Chen broke out in cold sweat. A Saint Devil King was an existence comparable to a saint. This demonic seal could even block a creature suspected to be a Saint Devil King. No one knew what would happen next. That mysterious person definitely didn't give me this demonic seal out of kindness. I'm still too weak. If I had the strength of a Saint Realm expert, this wouldn't even be a fart. Damn it, my life is hanging on my waist. After thinking and struggling for a while, Lin Chen's mind finally calmed down with Bai Ruoyan's company. Return to the academy. Maybe the dean will have a way to deal with this demonic seal after he wakes up. Moreover, if I can obtain the other parts of the Tai Fuqian mantra and cultivate an orange tier mental cultivation method, my strength will increase by a few levels. Lin Chen had already witnessed the might of an orange tier mental cultivation method. With Bai Ruoyan's mid-9th level cultivation base, she was able to fight against a mid-level Devil Monarch that was comparable to a First Tribulation Combat Emperor without falling into a disadvantage. The improvement of an orange tier mental cultivation method was too heaven-defying. He was determined to obtain the Tai Fuqian mantra. After swallowing 2 pills, the injury on Lin Chen's right arm temporarily stabilized. He still needed some time to recuperate. 5 forces combined into one required too much strength and the toughness of his flesh. Lin Chen forced himself to use it. It was already fortunate that his arm didn't completely break. After leaving the Firmament Tower, Lin Chen didn't plan to waste any time. He used superdimensional transfer again and teleported back to Space 2. He arrived at the 10,000 Spirit Sea and returned to the academy. This time, I killed a large number of devils in the Firmament Tower, increasing my blank attribute to 130,000 points. It's a great harvest. I can convert them to other attributes at any time. It's a necessity for emergencies. Lin Chen turned off the system. When he opened his eyes, the Dragon Emperor had already returned to the academy. Heavenly Song Academy, 100 Islands Main Hall. Lin Chen, who had just returned, received an unexpected piece of news. Teacher Yuechi and everyone were taken away by people from the sacred boundary. Hearing Shun Lianyun's words, Lin Chen's heart sank. Everyone must have their own plans when they left. With the foresight of those old foxes from the sacred boundary, there's no need to touch them. Lin Chen pondered for a moment, and his hanging heart was half relieved. The sects from the sacred boundary had sent envoys to take them away. Their motive and possibility of harming them was not high. Looking at their motive, harming the people around Lin Chen would do them no good. However, if he could win against the fake gods this time, Lin Chen still wanted to go to the sacred boundary to confirm everyone's safety as soon as possible, especially Sister Yuechi, Manqing, and Qing Xian. If the people from the sacred boundary dared to bully them, with Lin Chen's temper, he would probably turn everything upside down wherever he went. You really went to the demon eye and brought back his sacred bloodline energy? In the main hall, Lin Chen handed over the 7 jade boxes. After Shun Lianyun took them, tears of excitement flickered in her eyes. How many years of waiting? How many years of waiting? Just for the moment when he woke up again. For the Heavenly Song Academy and the Dean's will, what they were waiting for was the appearance of a person who could carry history on his back. But for Shun Lianyun, she only wanted to see him again. Chapter 739. These hundreds of thousands of years of waiting were not in vain after all. During these countless days and nights, there was never a moment when I didn't want to rush into the Sky Tower and immediately wake you up again. Shun Lianyun, who was gently caressing the jade box, cried tears of joy and happiness. Bai Ruoyan and Lin Chen looked at each other and unconsciously held each other's hands tightly. Some of the grand elders in the main hall couldn't help but wipe the tears from the corners of their eyes. In order to inherit the will of the dean, Shun Lianyun had guarded the Sky Song Academy for countless years. This promise to her true love was moving and also made Lin Chun cherish the person in front of him even more. I will return the sacred vein energy to him first. Shun Lianyun was so excited that her cheeks flushed red. Like a girl who was about to see her lover again, she put away all the jade boxes. As soon as Shun Lianyun went to the secret room, an elder immediately came out and handed a few secret letters to Lin Chun. Lin Chun, these are the words your companion left for you before he left. Lin Chun took all the letters and opened them one by one. Everyone in class 66, including Ning Qing Xian, Yin Qianyun, and Man Xing, had left him many words. However, they seemed to have a tacit understanding, and all of them had a kind of crazy confidence in Lin Chun. They firmly believed that Lin Chun could overcome this disaster and safely reach the sacred boundary. Even if I'm the most handsome, everyone thinks too highly of me. I'm a true god. Does everyone really think that I'm above a true god? Lin Chun laughed and shook his head. He was just joking, but the elders in the main hall didn't treat it as a joke. They could completely understand the feelings of the people heading to the sacred boundary. 3 years ago, Lin Chun was just a young man who had just arrived in the spiritual state. However, each of his achievements was more shocking than the last. The geniuses of his generation couldn't even compare to a billionth of his brilliance. Every time something earth-shattering happened to him, when everyone thought that it was his end and limit, the next thing that happened would overturn everyone's understanding countless times. The 10 great geniuses and the 4 heavenly kings of the same era were only Yuan venerates. However, he was already standing at the peak of the 9 prefectures. Who would have thought of it? Who would have dared to think of it? They also firmly believed that Lin Chun was their only hope in this crisis of the true god's descent. Ah, Lin Chun, how have you been? As expected of the unprecedented number 1 legend in the history of the 9 prefectures. Seeing is better than hearing about him. As expected of someone who dares to challenge a fake god. The human race is truly blessed to have Lin Chun. Hearty laughter filled the hall as a group of experts entered. Lin Chun's eyes narrowed. There were the 3 giants of the Danzhou, the Thunder Emperor of the Tianzhou, and more than half of the Tianzhou Ancient Alliance. There were also the inheritors of the world's suppressing sacred steel. They were all top-notch experts who were going to fight against the false gods this time. What Lin Chun hadn't expected was that even the most secretive of the dragon race, the 3 great dragon races, had also sent experts. The young girl with green dragon horns hid behind the white-robed ancestor. She looked at Lin Chun curiously and timidly. Everyone had worked overnight to open up the space passage to the Sky Song Academy and formed a true alliance. This was also the first time since ancient times that the human race and the dragon race had joined forces. However, the opponents of this alliance were of an unprecedented level. I didn't expect so many people to know of my title. Lin Chun chuckled. Everyone laughed heartily, and the tense atmosphere dissipated a little. Everyone sat down. Lin Chun sat at the head of the hall, with Bai Ruoyan beside him. Lin Chun, what do you think our chances of winning this battle are? The Thunder Emperor of the Tianzhou Ancient Alliance suddenly asked with a solemn expression. The atmosphere in the hall became tense again. In all fairness, the experts who were able to gather here today were all proud and unyielding people. They had even put their lives on the line. Fighting against a true god meant death if they lost. They were betting the fate of all the people behind them. They had to know why they were risking their lives and why they were betting on this battle. Who were their enemies? Not just the 6 false gods, but all the people in the 9 prefectures who had surrendered to the false gods. Their enemies were still all over the 9 prefectures. This time, they wanted to challenge the world and challenge history. What were their chances of winning this battle? This question could only be answered by Lin Chun alone. I have already recovered the Holy Meridian's energy for the headmaster of our academy. I believe that the headmaster will wake up soon. We will have at least one sage on our side. Lin Shen's words raised the morale of the experts in the hall. However, our chances of winning are still infinitely close to zero. Lin Shen changed his tone and answered seriously. Knowing that the answer was as expected, everyone's faces sank and the atmosphere became even more solemn. Everyone was willing to put their lives on the line. Lin Chen had to let them know the truth. The headmaster's actual situation was not optimistic. He had killed 2 holy demon kings by himself and escaped from the demon eye. Even if he recovered the holy meridian's energy, he would only be seriously injured. Facing 6 false gods, his chances of winning were infinitely close to zero. In fact, some experts knew that there were still some sages in the Jiuzhou continent. However, these other sages had never interfered with the affairs of the Jiuzhou continent. It was almost impossible for them to take sides because even if the false gods attacked, they could easily retreat and find a new place to stay in the mortal world. Lin Shen stood up and straightened his back. His voice was as loud as a bell. I am not someone who is lying to everyone. Everyone sitting here is betting their lives on this battle. Now that the Jiuzhou continent has reached a moment of life and death, we cannot give up the honor and dignity that the ancient sages have protected with their lives. The ancient sages were also favored by the heavens. However, as sages, they didn't choose to run away. Instead, they bravely defended the Jiuzhou continent. Now that we have reached a moment of life and death, we can only risk our lives and fight with our lives on the line. If we don't fight, we will be extinct. It is better to die standing than to die kneeling. If we don't fight, we will be extinct. These words were like swords hanging in everyone's heart, engraved in everyone's heart. Rumble. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole academy was shaken. The space barrier was damaged, and a large amount of tyrannical aura swept over like a storm. Ha, what a barbarian land. Even the person guarding the barrier is a low-level combat emperor. How dare you challenge the true god in such a small place? A mantis trying to stop a chariot. You are courting death. There is no need for the true god to make a move. We can flatten your alliance with our own hands. Lin Chun, get out here. Earth-shaking shouts, and cold laughter constantly mixed with the vigorous voices spread throughout the entire Heavenly Song Academy. Lin Chun narrowed his eyes. They had actually come to attack him so quickly? Damn it, these traitors. The Thunder Emperor was furious. He suddenly stood up. Obviously, he had also sensed a familiar aura. The top warriors of the Tianzhou continent had also arrived. The Tianzhou continent had always been a relatively peaceful continent. Most of the ancient families were allies. However, only this matter had divided the alliance of the Tianzhou continent into 2 parts. Everyone, don't be anxious. Let's go and meet them. Lin Chen smiled and didn't hide the monstrous battle intent in his eyes. If they want to fight, then let's fight. Chapter 740. The current Lin Chen could come and go as he pleased in most places in the Jiuzhou, except for a few saint realms. He was fearless. Swoosh! The purple phoenix wings furiously spread out as Lin Chen used the silent step. His figure flashed, and Bai Ruoyan's steps were as light as smoke as she followed closely behind. All the strong warriors in the main hall had sharp eyes and moved out. Whether it was the strong warriors of the dragon race or the human race, they all seemed to be of one mind and acted together. This battle was unavoidable. More than 200 figures floated in the air. Every one of them had an aura as strong as the sea. They were all high-level combat emperors. I don't believe that a small place like this has the right to offend a true god. Die. The old man with a walking stick at the front of the team sneered. He tapped the air lightly with the tip of his walking stick. His battle aura surged and condensed. An array of light pierced through the air. His finger was like thousands of mountains, and a vast gray energy, finger pressed down. It was so vast that it almost crushed the school's mountain range. The space crystal wall cracked, and countless elders and students in the mountain range showed a look of despair. This finger could not be retreated. It could almost destroy the entire core area of the mountain range. Rip! The sound of the wind breaking was hissing. His figure spun like a light wheel and swept out a whip kick. The dragon power exploded, and the energy was like a knife cutting across. Cutting force. Bang! The shadow of the leg swept across the sky and cut the energy finger into pieces. It turned into starlight that lit up the entire sky. Everyone's eyes sharpened. How could the strongest attack of a 9th-level combat emperor be so easily broken? Countless eyes stared at the sky. The young man's silver robe fluttered, and his hands were crossed in front of his chest. There was a cynical and confident smile on his face. As an opening show, this firework is not dazzling enough. The silver-robed figure patted his shoulder and smiled mockingly. The starlight scattered across the sky and sprinkled on the young man's back. He looked extraordinarily handsome and looked down on the world. It was as if he could carry the whole world on his shoulders. It's Senior Lin Chun. Everyone, don't be afraid. Senior Lin Chun is here. Ha ha ha. Beat him. Senior Lin Chun is the best in the world. The best in the world. There's a traitor among us. Hit him. When many of the young students recognized Lin Chun, they were so excited that they couldn't hold back their excitement. They waved their arms and shouted loudly, their mouths filled with fragrance. Some of the reclusive old monsters who saw Lin Chun for the first time couldn't help but put away the last trace of contempt in their hearts. That kick just now had an exquisite control of pure strength, and it was at a level they had never seen before. His potential is indeed great, but in front of the Lord true God, he's just an ant. On the contrary, this old man would like to experience this kid's strength. He's just a brat who's still wet behind the ears. All he has is a bit of brute strength. The 3 9th Heaven late-stage old monsters leading the group laughed sinisterly, as if they were not afraid of Lin Chun at all. A bunch of guys who are in a hurry to be dogs. They haven't even put on a leash, and they're already wagging their tails? Just because that fake god threw a few pieces of shit at you, you can't wait to kneel down and be dogs? Lin Chun flicked his fingernails, and with just one sentence, the few reclusive old monsters were so angry that their veins were bulging. Old dogs who think they can shake me by wagging their tails and eating shit have never had a good ending. Lin Chun sneered. With his current golden-eyes twin, he could naturally see that the 3 reclusive old monsters had obtained a trace of holy chi and created a pseudo-saint body, similar to the 6 great families' ancestors. If they were to activate it, their strength would be comparable to a First Tribulation combat emperor. That was why they were so confident in barging in. Unfortunately, if they knew about the story of Lin Chun's demon monarch looks over in the heaven boundary mountain of the myriad demon battlefield, they probably wouldn't dare to be so arrogant even if they were given 8 leopard guts. Lin Chun, when the 7 great dragon clan's ancestors and grand elders saw Lin Chun again, their killing intent was awe-inspiring and their momentum was monstrous. Last time, Lin Chun's 5-blow thunderstruck had seriously injured the entire upper echelon of the Dragon Clan, and they still hadn't recovered. Oh, you traitors of the Dragon Clan have also recovered? Lin Chun raised his eyebrows. Although the experts of the 7 great Dragon Clans hadn't fully recovered, they had at least recovered more than 70%. There must be an external factor that interfered with their recovery so quickly. So that's how it is. Is there a high-level alchemist in their team? Lin Chun immediately understood when he scanned with his spiritual power at the middle stage of the Heaven Ascension realm. Traitor? Bullsh asterisk T. Do you think it's your turn to guide the Dragon Clan's affairs? The ancestors flew into a rage out of humiliation. He doesn't have a right to guide us, but we do. A thunderous cold shout mixed with a few dragon roars resounded throughout the sky. Boom! The 3 great Dragon Clans experts floated in the air, and the white-haired ancestor in the lead had fury brewing in his eyes. The Void White Dragon, the Heaven Battle Golden Dragon, and the Life Spirit Dragon. The 3 great Dragon Clans actually joined forces with them. The 3 reclusive old monsters' hearts skipped a beat. 2 of the 3 great Dragon Clans were ranked 1st and 2nd. The three clans together accounted for nearly 40% of the 10 Great Dragon Clans' collective combat power. You traitors, have you forgotten how our ancestors died back then? It's fine if the young ones don't know, but don't you old guys know? Joining forces with these inhuman things is an insult to our dragon clan's glory. The white-haired old man, the void white dragon ancestor, the leader of the 10 clans, scolded the 7 oldest ancestors. Old fart, don't talk so much about righteousness. How ugly is your face? It's disgusting. You 3 clans have the best cultivation resources of the 10 clans. Of course, you can lecture us from above. Don't pretend to be saints. The 7 ancestors roared. The white dragon ancestor sneered. If you weren't greedy and tried to occupy the ancestral altar, I wouldn't have sealed it. The cultivation resources of the dragon clan should be reserved for the young ones with backbone, not for you useless lackeys. At least, we dare to stand here and bet our lives for the glory of our ancestors. Even if we die in battle, the glory of our dragon clan will live on forever. The 2 sides were at loggerheads with words. At this moment, many masters of the Spiritual State Alliance appeared one after another. They were from the Tianzhou Alliance, the Danzhou Alliance, and the Luo family of the Divine Land. The more than 200 battle emperors on the enemy side shifted their attention to the masters of the Spiritual State Alliance. Boom! Suddenly, when the enemies were distracted, 4 8-colored energy fingers appeared in the sky, and a blue dragon light turned into a sword and slashed down violently. The masters of the dragon clan were shocked. They instantly transformed into their true forms and unleashed their dragon breaths and dragon energies to block this attack. Lin Shun, you King sneak attack? Seeing the 4 figures standing in the void below, the 7 ancestors roared angrily. Sorry, my hand slipped. I originally wanted to hit this group of old bastards. Lin Shun apologized very politely with a smile on his face. His attitude was very sincere. Many masters' mouths twitched. You King slipped your hand. That attack was a real killer move that forced the ancestors of the Dragon Clan to use their true forms to block it. Suddenly, the 3 reclusive old monsters who belonged to the Danzhou Alliance changed their expressions in horror. Their spiritual power could vaguely sense that Lin Chen's spiritual power was drained like water in a well. It was draining rapidly without any warning. This kid is still causing trouble. Chapter 741. Sensing that Lin Chen's spiritual energy was rapidly depleting, the old monsters of Danzhou were horrified. Something's wrong. There's something wrong with this guy. Watch out. The 3 old monsters of Danzhou didn't have time to warn the masters around them. They subconsciously activated their spiritual shields, covering the sun and the moon, protecting the 200 battle emperors within 10,000 miles. Boom! Bang! The spiritual shields were activated for half a second, and a violent explosion of spiritual energy erupted without warning. The azure pillar of light that was twisting and turning into annihilation was like a raging dragon, smashing the spiritual barrier into smithereens. The 3 old monsters of Danzhou spat out blood as they retreated, their faces pale. All the masters were affected by the spiritual attacks with different degrees of penetration. Their spiritual energy was shaken, and their spiritual consciousness was in turmoil. However, the old monsters in the lead were still rational. The spiritual damage to the 200 battle emperors was very limited. Most of the power of the annihilation was blocked by the 3 old monsters of Danzhou. Humph! The sneak attack didn't work. Lin Shen curled his lips, and the fierce light in his eyes disappeared. What the CK? Lin Shun, you King played dirty. The 3 old monsters in the lead were furious. How could that be? I was just shooting a little bit of spirit shock in a very normal training state. Everyone just happened to be in my shooting range and accidentally got hit. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame me for shooting too far away. How could it be a sneak attack? How can a cool thing be called a sneak attack? It's called a friendly exchange, right? Lin Shen immediately returned to his smiling face. Many masters were so angry that their veins bulged, and they almost rushed up to fight him. Taking advantage of the moment when they were distracted by the other masters of the Alliance, he launched the most difficult spiritual attack. If it weren't for the three old monsters of Danjo, all the Battle Emperors would have been injured. He was so skillful that he looked like a perverted thief who took off his pants and entered the room with flowers. Even the masters of the Spiritual State Alliance couldn't help but feel ashamed. This Lin Chen was really unrestrained. Lin Chen waved his hand again. What's more, are you here to brag to me today? Okay, Zhang Deshuai, pull the cow up. Pull the cow up? Many experts were stunned. Cut the crap. Our great Lord True God has an imperial edict for you. Kneel down and receive it. The gray-robed old monster in the lead who held a walking stick laughed savagely and opened a demon eye stone in his palm. A beam of light shot out from the demon eye stone and condensed into a light screen. A ghastly and hoarse voice came from it. Mortals of the Spiritual State Alliance, I am the true god of the sacred boundary. It was pitch black on the other side of the light screen, but it exuded an invincible aura that shocked the masters of the Spiritual State Alliance. This was definitely not the aura of an emperor. It was the aura of a true god. After that, the voice from the Devil Eye Stone carried boundless charm and dignity as it continued. The 9 prefectures were created by us. You were just blinded by the ancient sages. Submit to me, and you will obtain eternal life, the protection of the saintly body, and know the true history. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, the 4 clones that appeared like phantoms instantly activated the ultimate moment and the 6-layer transformations. The 3 clones unsheathed their swords, drew their bows, and unsheathed their sabers. With the enhancement of 2 attack runes, they used the Meridian Chain Star Flash and the Speed Mirror to attack the enemy's back row. 3 forces combine into 1, tear and cut. The 4th clone appeared like a ghost, and when it smashed its fist furiously at the void, a mysterious force that seemed capable of rotating the stars pressed down on the void to the point of distorting the void, and it pulled and bent the spatial crystal walls. The dragon force twisted the space where the demon eye stone was located. Even the gray-robed old monster could not react in time. The tearing force and cutting force instantly crushed the demon eye stone. The fate god's bewitching voice stopped abruptly. In a space plane in the starry sky outside the 9 prefectures, a ferocious and furious roar resonated in the starry sky. This kid dared to sneak attack and interrupt my announcement? In the Heavenly Song Academy of the Spiritual State, Chi, bam! Battle auras surged, and the sky exploded. The masters on both sides retreated, and the atmosphere became tense. When the energy dissipated, more than 30 masters who had joined forces to block the attacks of the 4 clones were slightly injured by the penetration runes. Their faces darkened. What the F***, CK? This kid sneak attacked again. This little bastard sneak attack was superb. Cunning. He was definitely a cunning old man. You're a pig with a scallion in your nose. What are you pretending for? You created the 9 prefectures, and you still have the damn imperial edict. Pooh! F*** CKU. Lin Chen was so angry that he laughed. He spat on the ground and looked down at everyone with disdain. Even if the probability was 1 in 10,000, he would never give the other party a chance to turn the alliance against him. This time, the other party's goal was obviously to extend an olive branch. They wanted to add a heavy hammer to this desperate and pressing atmosphere and completely destroy the morale of the Spiritual State Alliance. If one of the masters was bewitched, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lin Chen would never give them this chance. How could he talk about morality with these people? He was not a Westernite from the 15th century. Since they were mortal enemies, there was only one thing for him to say. Kill this group of people at all costs. Kill them until they are dead. There was no way out between the 2 sides. All the masters of the Alliance listened to my order. The 9 prefectures are in a life-and-death situation. Beat these sons of cheese. Lin Chen pulled out the 5 dragons' imperial spear and rushed toward the gray-robed old man while yelling thunderously. It seemed that all the masters of the Spiritual State Alliance regarded him as their backbone. His roar made everyone's blood boil, and all of them began to surround and attack him. Some elders of the academy retreated to the bottom of the academy to protect their own students. I gave you face, but you don't want it. A bunch of ungrateful be*** cheese. Attack! The gray-robed old man yelled furiously, and countless masters attacked from all directions. Dragons fought against dragons, and humans fought against humans. The five-color dragon spear shot toward them like a bolt of lightning. The gray-robed old man knocked the tip of the spear with his silver cane, and the horrifying dragon energy and battle auras surged up. Both sides retreated rapidly. This old man is quite resilient. Lin Chen's eyes turned cold. Not only was the gray-robed old man at the late stage of the 9th level, but he was also a top-tier body-tempering emperor with 2 million dragon energy points. The 9 Prefectures continent was indeed full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The turmoil caused by the descent of the fake god had forced these old monsters who had been hiding for countless years to come out. His body tempering and battle aura cultivation were both top tier. Even in a one-on-one battle, Lin Chen would have to use some tricks to defeat him. Lin Chen made up his mind after he punched the gray-robed old man furiously and pushed them back more than 5 kilometers. I don't have time to waste on him. The Masters of the Alliance can't die here. 20,000 blank attribute points have been converted into 20,000 Heavenly Thunder attribute points. 200,000 Heavenly Path points have been consumed. The creation of the top-tier, green-level, sure-kill technique, 5 Lightnings Bombardment, has been successful. Just as Lin Shan was about to unleash a 5-blow thunderstruck on his friends, a light laughter slowly reverberated between the heavens and the earth. Just as I expected, the current continent is still in such a state. The laughter was ordinary, but it seemed to contain an invisible force that spread out like ripples through the void. The moment the ripples appeared, the invisible force bombarded all the enemy battle emperors. Bam! 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 All the battle emperors spat out blood and retreated with varying injuries. Chapter 742. The combat emperors of the fake god camp were shocked and terrified. Who was this peerless master? How could there be a master who could severely injure more than 200 8th-level combat emperors without showing himself? Could it be that the guy is still alive? The gray-robed old man seemed to have realized something, and his expression changed. He and the other 2 old men tore apart the special jade slip given to them by the fake god family at lightning speed. Rumble. A spatial tunnel was opened in the jade slip shop. Within a radius of over 100,000 miles, the bodies of over 200 battle emperors glowed with a special spatial light. Then, the spatial tunnel devoured their bodies and dragged them into the dark and deep crack. Lin Chen's eyes flickered, and he instantly activated the sure kill technique function. Chi. The space crack closed, and the 200 combat emperors disappeared instantly. Such a large-scale space teleportation technique was not something a combat emperor could perform. The Masters of the Spiritual State Alliance were shocked. Only one person in the Alliance could injure more than 200 combat emperors with just a few words. The Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy. The Dean has awakened? This is a space jade slip with holy power, and it can teleport the target millions of miles away. It's definitely not a treasure that can exist in the current 9 prefectures. It must be the work of those despicable fake gods. The white-robed old man of the Void White Dragon clan squinted his eyes as he stared at the direction the dean left. Among the creatures of the same level, no one in the current 9 prefectures could compare with the Void White Dragon in terms of the power of space. They had the most authoritative talent. What a pity. They ran away. The young girl with green dragon horns was so angry that her face turned red and she stomped her feet. Don't worry, little girl. They won't run away that easily. Lin Chen smiled and rubbed the young girl's cute hair and dragon horns. The latter's face turned red, and she stared at him with her watery green eyes and asked, "Why?" Lin Shun pointed up, put on his self-made sunglasses, and looked up at the sky with a smile. It's easy for thunder to strike in this weather, especially those who betrayed their masters and ancestors. They're the easiest to be struck by lightning. Rumble. The terrifying lightning condensed the energy of heaven and earth, and nearly 205 colored thunderclouds exploded. Bang, bang, bang. Thunderous booms kept ringing out from the five-colored thundercloud, shocking the battle emperors of the Alliance to the point that they were dumbstruck, shocked, and scared. Oh my God, what is this? What's going on? How could such an apocalyptic natural disaster appear in our Alliance's territory? Shit. Even I, a ninth-level combat emperor, would find it difficult to withstand the destructive energy contained within the thundercloud. Some ancestral patriarchs from the Tianzhou and the Danzhou sucked in a breath of cold air and hurriedly prepared for battle. There were even some academy elders who revealed looks of despair. Any one of those five-colored thunderclouds had the power to destroy mountains and rivers for thousands of miles. Nearly 200 thunderclouds? What kind of concept was that? The Heavenly Song Academy's land of 1,000,000 miles would be razed to the ground in an instant. They could only place their last hope on the dean. The young girl with the green dragon horn covered her red lips, her beautiful eyes sparkling. How could she not recognize this gorgeous five-colored thundercloud? Even the void white dragon, life spirit dragon, and the heavenly dipper golden dragon stared at the five-colored thundercloud in shock. It was this lightning that had severely injured all the 7 great dragon clan's experts that day. It had cut the history of the dragon clan into 2 halves since the ancient times. The sure kill technique, 5-blow thunderstruck, has been successfully activated. The target has been locked on, beginning to track. Haha, don't worry, everyone. These thunderclouds won't attack us. They're specifically targeting those who are acting as lackeys for the fake god. Mr. Lin roared with laughter. Everyone was shocked. Could this thing recognize a master? As soon as his laughter ended, nearly 205 colored thunderclouds formed and flashed to the east, disappearing in 2 blinks of an eye. This scene made the Tianzhou, Danzhou, Divine Prefecture, and many other inheritors of the world-suppressing sacred tablet look at Lin Shun with doubtful eyes. How could this be possible? Could it be that Lin Shun could control the heavenly calamity thundercloud? Lin Shun knew that once the sure kill technique locked onto the enemy, it would not stop until the enemy was dead. It would keep tracking until the sure kill technique's energy was depleted. According to the energy table listed by the system, the number of times the 5-blow thunderstruck could strike was 50. If it crossed several large states to lock onto the enemy, it would consume about 40% of its energy, and there would be at least 25 to 30 more strikes. The 5-colored thundercloud moved extremely fast. Unless the enemy had a holy chi jade slip to jump through space, it would be impossible to avoid the thundercloud's lock-on attack. The only way was to resist. The thundercloud will follow wherever their jade slip teleports them to. If they teleport to their headquarters, then the 5-blow thunderstruck will fall on their headquarters. That would be awesome. Lin Shun wiped his saliva and stared in the direction where the 5-colored thundercloud flew away. He stroked his chin narcissistically. According to my speculation, I'm going to present the most handsome 5 thunders exploding little spinning top that I'm going to present to you. It's going to take place in less than 4 days. If you don't submit to the fake gods, I doubt anyone will dare to approach their headquarters. However, if you sincerely want to be the fake gods' dogs, then you'll definitely be able to enjoy yourself at the scene. Many experts were terrified when they thought about it. Damn, this was too freakish. So many destructive thunderclouds could track the enemy to the end of the world. What if it fell on their headquarters? Many people shuddered. They didn't dare to think about it. They really didn't dare to think about it. This guy's methods were too heaven-defying. In the main hall, all the parties of the Alliance gathered. Shun Linyun was supporting a handsome middle-aged man in a green robe. His face was as pale as paper, and his blue eyes were deep and calm. All the restless emotions would be soothed when they saw his eyes. Even though his aura was weak to the point he didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken, his body faintly emanated saint might that could obliterate the heavens and the earth, and it caused all the experts present to be unable to arouse the intention to underestimate him. This existence must be one of the strongest existences in the 9 prefectures. Shun Lianyun helped him to the nearest seat and sat down slowly. "Greetings, Dean." All the experts cupped their fists and greeted him respectfully. They were excited and excited. The Dean of the Heavenly Song Academy, the land of 9 prefectures 200,000 years ago, was full of legends about him. In a way, without him, the 9 prefectures might have fallen into the chaotic era of the Demon Clan. The green-robed man waved his hand and smiled calmly. "Don't be so polite, everyone. I'm just a person who has been eliminated in an era. My body is really embarrassing. If it weren't for the fact that I just absorbed the energy of the Holy Meridian and became unstable, they wouldn't have had the chance to escape." The ancestor of the Void White Dragon stroked his beard and said with a smile, "You are too polite, Mr. Dean. Even if you can't kill the enemy personally, you have the best students and descendants of the 9 prefectures to do it for you, right?" The Dean smiled and turned his gaze to Lin Chun. He was even more amazed. He never thought that the academy he founded could recruit such an excellent and heaven-defying student. Chapter 743. You're not even 22 years old, but you're already a top-notch body-tempering sovereign with a mid-stage 7th-level cultivation base, mid-stage Heaven Ascension realm mind power, and a Heaven's Calamity battle body. You broke into the Firmament Pagoda alone and took back my sacred bloodline. You even overturned the Divine Continent's fake god families. Little guy, how monstrous are you? He was a sage after all. His eyes were sharp enough to see through Lu Cheng. Sighing deeply in his heart, Lin Chun clasped his fist and smiled. This student pays respect to Principal Zhang. Compared to Principal Zhang's accomplishments, this is nothing worth mentioning. Little brat, how old are you? When I was your age, I wasn't even an 8th level Yuan Venerate. I was still thinking about picking up girls all day long. Ha ha. The dean laughed heartily. Shun Lianyun, who was beside him, blushed and rolled her eyes. "Miss," the dean's expression turned serious when he saw Bai Ruoyan, who was beside Lin Chun. Shun Lianyun and Lin Chun briefly told the dean about Bai Ruoyan's achievements and fortuitous encounters. The dean was amazed. "It is indeed the eternal sacred fire. I didn't expect such a drastic change to occur in the spiritual state while I was asleep. When I was still alive, the sacred fire didn't show any signs of gathering spirit. Even during the era of 100 sages, no one had been able to subdue the eternal sacred fire. This showed how heaven-defying it was. The eternal sacred fire was once known as the origin of creation. Even a sage couldn't easily get close to it, let alone control it. Its divine power had the ability to destroy the world. Little girl, you..." The dean hesitated. "Thank you for your concern, senior. I have my own score." Byra Oyan interrupted him. She knew that the dean would definitely be able to see through her current state. The sacred fire's energy had been increasing because of the Divine Flame Heart Sutra. It wouldn't be long before it would be out of her control. The fake god had descended. The war was imminent and full of unknowns. Right now, Byra Oyan only wanted to quietly stay by Lin Chen's side. The dean nodded. The war was imminent, so this might not be the time to solve this problem. Lin Chen was puzzled. What were these two talking about? Why couldn't he understand? "Dean, what realm are you at now?" Lin Chen went straight to the point and asked the question that everyone wanted to know the answer to. "I still need a few more days to assimilate the energy of my saint bloodline. Apart from the portion that suppresses the demon eye, I should be at the boundary between the 2nd level and the 1st level of the saint realm. If I don't have a heaven-defying level 8 divine pill, my lifespan will be less than 1,000 years. If a false god descends, I can delay it for 1 or 2 months. After the battle, whether I can survive or not is up to fate. At that time, the 9 regions will depend on you, Lin Chen. Shun Lianyin unconsciously grasped the dean's sleeve. Lin Chen frowned. There was still a great disparity between their battle prowess. Furthermore, the dean's claim that he could hold off 2 false divinities was completely unrealistic. After killing the 2 holy demon kings, his injuries were even more severe than the false divinities. The only way he could hold off 2 false divinities was if he risked his life. Those fellows sure have a good plan. They chose to descend in the spiritual state. Right now, there are less than 30 boundary-suppressing sacred steels in the 9 regions, and there are only 2 boundary-suppressing sacred steels left in the spiritual state. The dean's azure eyes shone with a wise and profound light. With the many protective resources of the ancient families, we might be able to avoid the aftermath of the battle for a while. But in the long run, the entire spiritual state will be affected. Don't worry, Mr. Dean. This battle concerns all of the 9 regions, and we won't hide anything. The grand array of the sacred dragon pond of our 3 races will be activated to help the alliance. The Void-White Dragon Ancestral Master said earnestly. The Dean shook his head. It's not that simple. You will activate the sacred dragon pond, and the other 7 races will use it as well. So, your opponents will have to deal with their own kind. In fact, we still have a chance, and that is the Tower Master of the Sky Tower. We have met several times, but if Lin Shun can negotiate with him, we might be able to win him over. Then, we will have 2 saints and many trump cards, and we will have a chance to defeat them. The Dean turned to look at Lin Shun, and everyone was shocked. The Tower Master of the Sky Tower, the most mysterious existence in the 9 regions, was also in the Saint Realm. Me, if it were a woman, I would consider seducing her. But if it is a man, what should I do? There are no substantial benefits, and he can leave the 9 regions at any time. Why would he risk his life to help us? Lin Chen shrugged. The Dean smiled mysteriously. You will know when you get there. Oh, Dean, do you have any other information about the incomplete mental cultivation method in the inheritance crystal ball? That mental cultivation method is very important to me. Suddenly, Lin Shun sent a secret voice transmission to the Dean. Seeing that the Dean was having trouble walking, he decided to ask him directly if he could collect the 3 incomplete scrolls of the Tai Futian scroll. Lin Shun would be considered as someone who had an orange-level mental cultivation method. At that time, with the orange-level mental cultivation method and 2 orange-level innate talents, he might be able to fight against a few false gods. That incomplete mental cultivation method is indeed very powerful. According to my calculations, it should be at least orange level or even higher. However, I don't know anything about it because I obtained it from a friend in an exchange. That person might have other incomplete information about it, but he's already been locked up in the sacred prison of the Saints' world. The Dean's telepathic message to Lin Chen caused his heart to sink to the bottom. The sacred prison was located in the sacred boundary, and he didn't even know the way to the sacred boundary, let alone enter the sacred prison. Moreover, what kind of existences were imprisoned in the sacred prison? How could he, a combat emperor, enter the prison to find a cultivation method? It seems that the Tai Futian scroll is temporarily out of the question. Then, I can only try another possibility. Lin Chen suddenly stood up and looked at the Academy's elders. Elders, prepare the best secret chamber for me. I want to go into seclusion for 2 days. The elders immediately got to work. Lin Shun cupped his fists at the Dean and followed closely behind the elders. No one complained. Time was of the essence, and they should give Lin Shun sufficient time to prepare. In the main hall, the Dean and the experts were still discussing the preparations for the battle. In the secret chamber, Lin Shun was deep in thought as he opened the system. Heavenly Path Possession System version 5.0 Host Lin Shun Cultivation Middle Stage 7th Level Combat Emperor Middle Stage Battle Chi Essence 14 1 billion points Limit Strength 8 9,999 million Dragon Power Innate Talent 9 2 million Middle Stage Chi and Blood 17 7 billion points Middle Stage Mental Energy 760,000 points Heavenly Completion Realm Middle Stage Middle stage cultivation method soul essence, 0 points. Middle stage rune energy, 38. 84 million points. Heavenly path points, 46. 13 million points. Innate talent, 88. 8 million points. Middle stage elemental energy, fire 4. 5 million points, earth 4. 1 million points, wood 3. 95 million points, metal 4. 55 million points, water 4. 8 million points, lightning 4. 15 million points, wind 4. 02 million points, light 3. 85 million points, dark 3. 99 million points. Cultivation method status column, open. Bloodline status column, open. Passive innate skill column, open. Ultimate skill column, open. Active innate skill. Blue rank, God-stealing omen. Blue rank, fatal bloodthirst. Purple rank, super-dimensional teleportation. Purple rank, ultimate moment. Purple rank, ultimate return. Purple rank 1 time, super counter. Purple rank 1 time. Sovereign's descent, cooldown time, 28 days. Orange rank 1 time. Godslayer, quasi-orange rank. Absolute life and death, orange rank 1 time. Sun God. Characteristic rune column, open. Innate skill combination, fatal bloodthirst, super-dimensional teleportation, sovereign's descent, absolute life and death. Blank attribute, 115,220 points, can be converted to any attribute at will. System, I want to activate the fusion function. Fusion attribute points, 100,000 innate talent, 100,000 rune energy, 100,000 heavenly path points. Lin Chun activated the fusion function and started to fuse crazily. Chapter 744. Lin Chun constantly activated the fusion function. Every activation expended 100,000 runic energies, 100,000 talent points, and 100,000 heavenly Tao points. He constantly fused new pills, cultivation techniques, combat artifacts, and natural treasures. From time to time, new talents would appear, but they were still of little value and were not of much use. I've almost fused 70 times, and there's not even a single Godslayer fragment or talent combo box. Lin Chun was a little impatient. The fusion function was too random. Anything could be fused. Like before, a combo box or a Godslayer fragment would appear as soon as it entered the soul. The only valuable thing was the passive blue rank talent, Destined One, which appeared on the 59th fusion. It could heal the host once when he was on the verge of death. My attribute points are limited. I can't fuse anymore. After consuming 8 million points of attribute points, Lin Chun stopped the fusion. Although the chances of this battle were small, there was still a chance. That was his 2 orange rank talents, Godslayer and Sun God. If these 2 talents could temporarily give him the strength of a saint, he might be able to fight. Moreover, he still had absolute life and death and sovereign's descent. If he could temporarily break through to the saint stage, he could use an even stronger killer move. However, Lin Chun already felt a suffocating pressure when facing a high-level demon monarch, let alone a saint who was countless times stronger than a demon monarch. Even if he stacked his 4 strongest talents and wanted to create a killer move to heavily injure his opponent, the chances were still very slim. Suddenly, Lin Chun slapped his thighs. Damn, I almost forgot about this. Connecting to the system, Lin Chun opened the orange rank talent enhancer. This enhancer could enhance an orange rank talent once, greatly increasing its power. Opening the talent column, he dragged the Sun God talent into the enhancer, and the system popped up an option. Enhance, 1-time orange rank talent, Sun God. Target points required, 100,000 blank attribute points, 30 million heavenly Tao points, 80 million talent points. Estimated talent enhancement effect. When in the Sun God state, the stronger the Sun essence, the stronger the Sun's power will be. Also, the duration of the Sun God state will be doubled. You will also receive the blessing of the Sun. Condense the Sun God armor with the Sun's divine might. It has absolute defense among those of the same level. Lin Chun sucked in a breath of cold air. The increase in the multiplier meant that the enhanced version of the sun god talent he used would be twice as strong as the original version. Duration increased from 60 seconds to 120 seconds, and the sun's favor effect granted absolute defense. System notification. If the orange talent enhancer is used on a one-time talent, the effect will be one time only. The enhanced talent will not level up. If the host obtains the same talent again, the effect will still be the same. Lin Chen's mouth twitched when he saw the system's light screen. His little thoughts were instantly dispelled. To trick you, monkey. I thought that after strengthening a specific talent, it would be an enhanced version of the effect. I was happy for nothing. If Lin Chen had a permanent orange talent, using this talent enhancer would indeed give him a permanent enhancement effect. Unfortunately, he didn't. Both of his orange-grade talents were one-time use talents. His strongest permanent talent was the quasi-orange-grade absolute life and death, which had yet to reach the orange grade. Lin Chen couldn't even dream of it. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that an orange talent was heaven-defying. Ever since the system activated the talent function, the orange talent had always been his strongest trump card. It was also the capital that allowed him to create many miracles. No move could replace it. It was too difficult to obtain a permanent orange talent. The system didn't even point out how to obtain a permanent orange talent. It was simply an extravagant wish. Although the enhanced version of the sun god talent is strong, it's too risky. If the fake god descends at night, the other party won't give me enough time to find the area where the power of the sun is strong. Lin Chen couldn't make up his mind at the moment. He then moved the God Slayer talent into the enhancer. Enhance, one-time orange talent, God Slayer. Target required, 100,000 blank attribute points, 25 million Heaven's Path points, 85 million talent points. Estimated enhancement effect. The God Slayer's search range has been greatly expanded. Anyone who is hostile to the host can become the target of the enemy. It's just an increase in search range? What kind of enhancement is this? I might as well enhance the sun god talent. The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. This was too ridiculous. How could this be considered an enhancement? Consuming so many attribute points in exchange for an increase in search range? Looks like I can only bet on the sun god talent. Lin Chen shook his head and sighed. He then placed the sun god talent back into the enhancer and pressed confirm. Suddenly, the system popped up a screen. Insufficient talent points. Lin Chen glanced at it. He had enough Heaven's Path points and blank attribute points, but he was still short of a few million talent points. I still have to look for talent points at this critical juncture. What the? Before Lin Chen could finish his words, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He clicked on the enhancer and the description of the enhanced God Slayer talent, and the sharpness in his eyes became even sharper. After a while, Lin Chen wiped off his cold sweat. Mother of asterisk her. I almost got myself killed. Lin Chen really had to thank the lack of talent points this time. He might have even saved half his life. An increase in search range? If this effect was placed on any move, it would be very difficult to attract Lin Chen's attention. But what was the core of the God Slayer talent? The strength and number of enemies. The stronger the enemy, the stronger the host. The more enemies, the stronger the host. That's right. In the past, it was true that the more enemies there were, the stronger Lin Chen would become. However, this innate talent calculated targets with hostility, which should be within a specified range. Otherwise, every time Lin Chen activated the God Slayer talent, his former enemies would also become the targets of the God Slayer talent. But in the previous few times he activated the God Slayer talent, there were no such signs. Only the enemies in front of him became the targets of the God Slayer talent. But what if the calculation range was increased? Thinking of this, Lin Chen's heart beat faster. An unprecedentedly bold idea was born. The moment this thought popped into his mind, Lin Chen's cerebral cortex began to tremble. The flickering light in his eyes became more turbulent and crazy, just like a crazy gambler. Chapter 745. In just one day, Lin Chun came out of seclusion. Bai Ruoyan sat quietly and elegantly on a bench outside the secret chamber, waiting. Dozens of inheritors of the boundary-suppressing sacred monument were with her. When they saw Lin Chun, they asked curiously, "How is it, Mr. Lin Chun? Have you figured out a way?" Other than Lin Chun, the inheritors of the sacred monument were the last of the young blood and hope of the Jojo continent. Lin Chun admired them for choosing to stand on the same side as him and live and die with him. "Well, I have a direction now. Let's follow the dean's method and find the pagoda master. However, I have something more important to do before going to the firmament pagoda." More than 20 sky prides gathered at the sage monument felt a strong sense of curiosity when they saw the corners of his mouth curling upward. Time was tight. What could be more important than finding the pagoda master? "Mr. Lin Chun." Behind the heavenly talents, a woman's timid and graceful voice sounded. Everyone turned their heads to take a look. The beauty was cold and elegant. Her beauty could topple cities. Her charming face was dyed red with excitement. "You are the woman at the fake god ceremony?" Lin Chun recalled that this woman seemed to be called Yun Qingxue. After Lin Chun attacked the true god mountain, Yun Qingxue was rescued. She used all her energy to avoid being tracked by her family and came to the spiritual state to thank Lin Chun in person. "Yes, I am Yun Qingxue. I came to the spiritual state to thank you in person. Thank you, Mr. Lin Chun, for saving my life. I can't repay you, so I can only repay you with my life." When Yun Qingxue was halfway through her excited speech, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. When she saw the teasing smiles of the people around her, her pretty face immediately turned red. "Sigh, Brother Lin Chun is indeed blessed. Your luck with women makes me, your elder brother, envious and jealous." "What kind of good fortune are you talking about? If one day I'm captured by the lackeys of the false god and you save me, I'll repay you with my body." The super geniuses laughed, and Yun Qingxue hurriedly waved her hands. "No, you misunderstood me. I wouldn't dare to belittle myself. I don't deserve Mr. Lin Chun. I just want to say that Mr. Lin Chun saved my life, and I'm willing to do my best for the Spiritual State Alliance." Lin Chun chuckled. "Miss, you're too polite. I admit that I, Lin Chun, am handsome, but no one is born noble, and no one is worthy of another. Since this girl is determined to face the most dangerous moment of 9 regions with us, then please hold your chest up and live proudly as the people of 9 regions." After saying that, Lin Chun soared into the sky. Bai Ruoyan followed closely behind him, waving goodbye to everyone. Looking at his back, Yun Qingxue muttered to herself. Live on with pride, Lin Chun returned to the main hall and asked the vice principal, Shun Lianyun, for a list. This list listed the attitudes of the ancient families in the 9 states toward the alliance of the spiritual state. Some of them remained neutral, and most of them had become the pawns of the fake gods and were secretly colluding with each other. Only a few of them had joined the alliance. Now that the vice principal is in charge of the academy, unless the false god or the saints come, the academy is impregnable. I can go all out and do something big. Closing the list, Lin Chen's eyes shone with a fierce light. He only had one goal, and that was to turn the 9 regions upside down. There was nothing he wouldn't do and nothing he wouldn't fight. 9 regions had started to become turbulent. Some regions were besieged because some forces didn't support the true God, and the situation was quite serious. 2 hours later, at the Qing family in Tianzhou. The Qing family was originally a part of the ancient alliance in Tianzhou. Later, they split from the alliance because they supported the true God, but they still had a strong foundation. Move all of them to warehouse number 1. These are all resources for the true God to gather his forces. In the back hall of the Qing family, a large number of heavenly and earthly treasures and herbs were being moved into the warehouse with a strong spatial barrier. Hey, Elder Qingwan, something is wrong. How come our things are all gone? The 3 elders who were guarding the warehouse suddenly yelled. The 2 great elders frowned and walked into the warehouse. They saw that the spatial barrier was intact, but most of the treasures, resources, and cultivation techniques inside the barrier had mysteriously disappeared. What was going on? How could they steal so many things without triggering the spatial barrier? That was impossible. Even a late Ninth Realm Combat Emperor wouldn't be able to do that. While the two great elders were shocked, a silver-robed figure sat in the center of the warehouse with his legs crossed. Next to him was a crystal counter with a spatial barrier. Inside the counter were 3 upper-grade 7th-level treasures, which were the tributes of the Qing family. "Who are you? Enemy attack. Everyone get ready," the elders suddenly yelled. Many combat emperors of the Qing family moved out at lightning speed and surrounded the warehouse. "I will never change my name. The most handsome black dragon in the land of the 9 prefectures will be the king of robbers, Lin Chun." Lin Chun? This name was like a plague, causing the experts of the Qing family to tremble. They retreated 10 meters and waited for the attack. "Do you know why I am here today?" Lin Chun smiled strangely. The two elders didn't dare to say anything. With their strength of 8th-level combat emperors, they might not be able to stop Lin Chun. "I am here today to bully you bunch of idiots." "Oh no, I am here to perform a magic trick for you bunch of charitable people." In front of the experts of the Qing family, Lin Chun stretched out his hand and touched the crystal counter. He smiled and said, "Everyone, please take a look. The magic trick I am going to perform is taking shit on your neck, bullying you." Lin Chun touched the counter with his palm. Even the space barrier wasn't destroyed. The 3 upper-grade 7th-level artifacts inside the counter slowly turned into a ray of light and disappeared rapidly. Consumed 20,000 heavenly Tao points to decompose the target's weapon. Obtained attribute points, 985 fire elemental energy, 880,000 battle chi essence, 3,999 talent points, 3,000 rune energy. No. Those are the heirlooms of the Qing family. "You devil, what have you done?" The two elders felt as if their flesh had been cut off as they let out mournful cries. "Even the heirlooms have been given to the fake god. It seems like I need to increase the intensity of this act." Lin Chun stretched out his hand again and erased another lower-grade purple-level mental cultivation technique. Then, he decomposed it into a series of attribute points in front of everyone. All the experts of the Qing family sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of strange demonic technique was this? It was gone just by touching it. He wasn't just keeping it in his storage ring. He was directly erasing it. "Look, this is a lower-grade purple-level battle technique. I heard that it is the ultimate technique of your Qing family." A certain Lin smiled and raised his hand to wipe the counter. Another cultivation technique scroll disappeared. This was robbery. Furthermore, this was blatant robbery. The two grand elders were so angry that they went berserk on the spot. "Lin Chun, you are too much of a bully." Rumble. Bang. Bang. 2 loud sounds rang out. The two elders were sent flying and vomited blood. "That's right. I, Lin Chun, am here to bully people. I asked you to be dogs for the fake god. Look at my handsome face. Are you convinced?" Lin Chun's angry roar shocked all the experts of the Qing family. Chapter 746. One of the masters immediately admitted defeat. Yes, we all admit defeat. "Master Lin Chun, we have no way out. Please be merciful and let us go." Swoosh. With a wave of his hand, Lin Chun broke down another bottle of mid-grade level 7 elixirs, and his attributes increased. All the masters were dumbfounded. F***CK. He still wants to do it, even if they admit defeat? It's none of my business whether you admit defeat or not. I, Lin Chun, have made it clear that I want to bully you. How about it? If you don't like it, come and hit me. Come, quick, I'm itching for a beating. Lin Chun leaned forward and patted his face as he spoke in an extremely arrogant manner. "You won't hit me? If you don't, then I'll do it." Without another word, Lin Chun broke down all the remaining high-level cultivation techniques. The masters of the Qing family were shocked and angry. This was too F***ed up. What kind of devil was this? How could there be such a despicable person? How could he rob all their things in front of the Qing family? Did the Qing family not care about their reputation? However, the entire Qing family couldn't beat him. This was 2F** King infuriating. Detected that the number of people who are hostile towards the host is increasing. The system screen popped up, and Lin Chen's lips curled up. Just as many masters were about to fight to the death with Lin Chun, he leaped into the air and laughed at the crowd. If you don't admit defeat, you are welcome to challenge me in the spiritual state. Arrogant Lin Chun, I'll wait for you to beat me up. Spreading his purple phoenix wings, Lin Chen's arrogant laughter sounded like thunder, echoing for hundreds of thousands of miles. Those who submit to false gods, I Lin Chun am coming. If tomorrow is the doomsday of the 9 states, then today I'll fill the 9 states with my legends. Don't care about life and death. If you don't admit defeat, then fight. His wild laughter was majestic and shocking, like the birth of a ghost hero. Mu family of Tianzhou. Staring at the empty warehouse of the treasure hall, the elders of the Mu family were dumbfounded, and their faces were filled with despair. How is this possible? Our space restriction seal wasn't damaged at all. Why is everything gone? The patriarch of the Mu family was on the verge of going crazy. His killing intent was surging. That was the tribute they were going to offer to the true God. If it was gone, they would suffer the sin of deceiving the true God. At that time, not to mention praying for the true God's blessings, they wouldn't even be able to keep their lives. Patriarch, look, there are words on the wall. The 2 elders said at the same time and fixed their gazes on the high walls of the palace. A line of bold and forceful words was carved on the wall. You guys are really poor. Lin Chun. F***CK. All the members of the Mu clan, men and women, old and young, simultaneously sent out a basic greeting that came from their hearts. Was he even human? After stealing all of the Mu clan's assets, they still despised them for being poor? This was 2F** King intolerable. Lin Chun. F***CK, your grandmother. Tianzhou, Zhao family, in a secret room in the attic. Zhao Wuyan, what did you make me drink? The beautiful woman's clothes were a bit messy, revealing a bit of her snow-white skin. Her jade-like hands covered her mouth, and her face was flushed red. She was angry out of humiliation. The one-eyed man in the room laughed strangely. That is the legendary dry wood raging fire-seeking pleasure powder. In a quarter of an hour, you will know what is called cruel. I like to see a proud daughter of heaven like you, who is unwilling to submit. Later, when you're in front of me, you will be begging for pleasure. The one-eyed man was the patriarch of the Zhao clan, Zhao Wuyan. At this moment, the patriarch of the Zhao clan was very high-spirited. He even thought that he had become the most handsome man in Tianzhou. This was because he had coerced and bribed many ancient families in Tianzhou to join the Alliance of True Gods and receive praise from the higher-ups of the Alliance of True Gods. At one point, they wanted to bestow the Zhao clan a holy body. Extremely happy, on his way back, he forcefully kidnapped a proud daughter of heaven who was unwilling to submit to the true God. He wanted to satisfy his special hobby. Patriarch, our tribute has been filled. We still need you to personally take a look. What do you think? A secret sound transmission came from several hundred li away. Zhao Wuyan frowned and then laughed lewdly. Wait until I accept the tribute, then I will come back to play with you. After saying this, Zhao Wuyan left and set up a spatial barrier in the room. Only the beautiful woman, whose face was becoming redder and redder, was left behind. A moment later, the spatial barrier was opened. The beautiful woman was shocked. She saw a young man enter with a dozen or so fierce black spotted dogs. The silver-robed young man was Lin Chun. He waved his hand, and a wood calamity battle chi entered the beautiful woman's body, removing the medicinal effect on her. The beautiful woman was startled and immediately reacted. When she put on her clothes, she shed tears of gratitude. Thank you for saving my life. Embark is very grateful. You hide first. I want to play something powerful with him. Lin Chun waved his hand, and took out his big treasures. The treasures in his hands were all bottles and jars. On them were written things like even immortals descend to the mortal world, 7 entry, 7 exit dragon powder, and 10 consecutive sun shooting series. All of them were the best miraculous medicines in the 9 provinces. At this moment, Lin Chen smiled. He smiled like a child. You still dare to abduct and sell obscene women, as expected of people who work as dogs for fake gods. None of them are good. After 15 minutes, I'll let you know what cruelty is. He crushed the jade bottles, and countless miraculous medicines entered the bloody mouths of the dozen or so black-spotted dogs. The dozen or so male black-spotted dogs, whose blood was boiling, immediately howled. Then, Lin Chen immediately used the Azure Dragon Shadow Restoration and hid in the room with Zhou Enmo. Seeing his harmless smile, Zhou Enmo felt a little creeped out. This young man looked harmless, but why did it feel like he was very skilled in this kind of thing? A moment later, the door opened again, and Zhao Wuyan's voice sounded. Little beauty, the medicinal effect has taken effect, right? I'm coming. Whoosh. A grayish-white talisman appeared out of thin air, and the energy of 1,000,000 runes hit the slow talisman. Zhao Wuyan was caught off guard, and his mid-8 stage cultivation was immediately sealed by more than 90%. Oh no, what the hell is this? Zhao Wuyan immediately felt that something was wrong and was terrified. Rumble. Lin Chen removed the Azure Dragon Shadow Restoration, jumped out, and hit Zhao Wuyan's body with the 7 ultimate twisting force. Bang, bang, bang. The terrifying dragon force was like a wild dragon twisting and twisting, completely shattering the Battle Chi Fate wheel in Zhao Wuyan's body. It was crippled. The moment Zhao Wuyan was sealed by the slow talisman, no matter how many trump cards he had, they were useless. Lin Chen's 3 million dragon force points were comparable to a 9th stage combat emperor, and the 7 ultimate force was a top purple rank combat skill. This palm strike directly crippled Zhao Wuyan. You're Lin Chen? Zhao Wuyan's mouth was filled with blood, and he looked at the young man standing in front of him, dumbfounded. There will be a prize for guessing correctly. Lin Chen pulled Zhou Enmo away, and with a wave of his hand, he completed the spatial barrier. Zhao Wuyan, who had lost his cultivation, couldn't break the barrier. Roar, roar, roar. More than a dozen black-spotted dogs, who were close to going crazy, swarmed forward. They only had one male instinct, and that was to hold him. At this moment, Zhao Wuyan knew what was called cruel. Before leaving, Zhou Enmo lightly covered her mouth with her white hand. This scene was too explosive. Chapter 747. For hours later, Zhao Wuyan sat in the main pavilion. His hair was messy, and his clothes were torn. His hand that was holding the teacup was trembling slightly. His expression was dull, and he looked weak. The ancestral patriarchs and elders in the main pavilion were both furious and frightened. Lin Chen had snuck into their territory. He had even crippled their family master, Zhao Wuyan. What was even crazier was that when everyone knew that Zhao Wuyan was in trouble, he had turned the entire treasury of the Zhao family upside down. He didn't even trigger the space restriction spell. It could be said that he had stolen the entire treasury without anyone noticing. Apart from Zhao Wuyan, the entire Zhao family didn't suffer any casualties. However, they had almost lost everything they had accumulated for tens of thousands of years. Ha ha! It's over. It's over. Zhao Wuyan laughed in a daze, as if he had lost his mind. Seeing this, the 2 ancestral patriarchs of the Zhao family were furious. Lin Chen, the Zhao family will fight you to the death. In the void, 2 figures were flying rapidly. Do you think what I did to Zhao Wuyan was cruel? Lin Chen asked Zhou Enmo with a smile. The beautiful woman froze for a second and then said seriously, "No, it's not cruel at all. It's an eye for an eye. If Prince Lin Chen didn't save me, I might have ended up in a worse state. Enmo is willing to serve you like a dog." Don't be a dog for a fake god. Just do what a person of the 9 states should do. Lin Shun turned transparent in a flash, leaving Zhou and Moer alone. Her eyes flickered as she rushed toward the spiritual state. On this day, the Tianzhou state fell into chaos. However, this was just the beginning. The next day, an even more terrifying storm started to sweep across the land of the 9 states, with Lin Shun as the center. Inside the spirit-devouring fog of the underworld continent, an ancient ruin that was thousands of meters tall stood in the center of the spirit-devouring fog. Dozens of high-level battle emperors of the Tianyu prefecture formed a powerful team and sneaked into the spirit-devouring fog to enter the ancient ruin. The Heavenly Nether Prefecture was made up of 3 sects that were second only to the 5 palaces in the Blood State: the 10,000 Springs Manor, the Di Ing sect, the Dark Transformation sect, and the 7 great sects in the Nether State. Within the ruins were the ancient Sword Qi Grand Formation, 9 Eclipse Heavenly Poison, and many other dangerous places. A single misstep, and one would be doomed eternally. However, the powerhouses of the Heavenly Nether Mansion were able to avoid the dangers again and again, and finally reached the end of the cave mansion. Standing in front of the cave, the group of experts sighed. 10,000 years. We've worked together to decipher it for 10,000 years, and we've finally broken into this place. It's said that there are countless inheritances left behind by geniuses. Now it's ours. If we have this batch of inheritances, we might become the strongest alliance that the true gods have ever taken in. The experts of the Heavenly Nether Mansion pushed open the giant door and looked at it excitedly. Behind the giant door of the ruins was a desolate and quiet tomb. Every tombstone once had a token of condolence, and the aura was tyrannical and extraordinary. It once spoke of the honor of its owner, but everyone was stunned. The ancient tomb was actually empty. There was nothing in front of these tombstones. Impossible. According to the historical records, almost 100 peerless Emperor Realm Supreme geniuses died here. Their talents were the best in the early period of the Antiquity Age, and it was said that they had the potential to become saints. It's impossible that nothing was left behind. The 2 patriarchs roared hysterically, unable to accept the reality in front of them. F***CK. Look at the content on the stone pillar. Suddenly, the 2 patriarchs cursed loudly. Everyone looked at the stone pillar and saw 2 lines of words written on it. Handsome Lin Shun just arrived at the Nether Continent. 22 years old, 7th level combat emperor. Handsome and flirtatious. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you for deciphering the secrets of the ruins. I'm very happy to be the first to take it. I'll sing a song and drink a little wine, and I'll be in heaven. Good Samaritans, you are really the ultimate wage earners. All the powerhouses of the Heavenly Nether Mansion were dumbfounded. It's Lin Shun from the Spiritual State Alliance? For this day, for this moment, the Heavenly Nether Mansion had worked together for almost 10,000 years to decipher the 8 great ancient maze and collect countless information. Some of it was the important information that they had risked their lives to obtain. For this reason, they had searched for hundreds of historical records and compared them with the history of almost 200,000 years to understand the hidden dangers in the cavern. Only then could they safely enter the cavern today. Everything was prepared for almost 10,000 years, and countless combat emperors had put in the effort. But now, someone else had beaten him to it. This was like an old bachelor who hadn't touched a woman for thousands of years. When he finally got to the bed and tore his pants, he suddenly found that the other party had a bigger penis than him. This was like taking a dump while riding on someone's neck. And he even mocked them for being wage laborers. The more they thought about it, the angrier they got. The more they thought about it, the angrier they got. F***CK Lin Chun. This old man is really F***King Unlucky. Die. This guy must die. If he doesn't die, I'll die. All the experts of the Heavenly Nether Mansion roared hysterically. They were like wild beasts that had gone mad. Chapter 748. In less than a day and a half, he had already robbed all the families that had defected to the fake gods in Tianzhou and Underworld. He had made countless enemies, and more war emperors hated Lin Shun to the bone, wishing that they could pull out his tendons and peel off his bones. He also didn't let go of those families that deliberately remained neutral. Many ancient families deliberately remained neutral. They seemed to be in the dark, but in fact, they were secretly manipulating both sides. Among them, there were old monsters who had lived for countless years. They were a group of wily old monsters and didn't want to suffer losses at all. Most of these forces were fence-sitters trying to observe the situation. If Lin Shen's side successfully repelled the fake gods and defended Jiuzhou, they could still say that they didn't defect to the enemy camp. Instead, they could join the Spiritual State Alliance on friendly terms and make a fortune in silence. After this operation, these fence-sitters could directly enjoy the peace that the Spiritual State Alliance fought so hard for. If the Spiritual State Alliance lost, they could immediately side with the fake gods. They could wag their tails and beg for mercy, and even live as dogs. Against such trash, Lin Shun would not let any of the fence-sitters off. He gave all these forces and families a fishing for the moon in the bottom of the sea and broke down all their assets. Not even a strand of hair was left. With Lin Shen's strength and movement techniques, coupled with the two ultimate moves of the Heavenly Invisibility Rune and the Azure Dragon Shadow that could eliminate aura, the other party couldn't stop him at all. Even if they could stop him, how could they stop his 4 clones and the Dragon Emperor? As long as one clone broke into the enemy's treasury, the decomposition function would be fully activated, and the other party's foundation would be gone. Since he was going to do it, he would do it thoroughly. As long as it was a family that didn't side with the Spiritual State Alliance on the Alliance's list, he would rob them all. Since he was going to be a villain, he would be a villain to the end. The Battle Aura Essence attribute has increased by more than 4 billion points. Perhaps I will be able to step into the late stage of level 7 soon. Activating the super-dimensional teleportation, Lin Shun teleported to the Blood Province. The Blood Province was the most chaotic province in the 9 provinces. Ever since the peak experts of the 5 palaces were annihilated by Lin Shun in the Sobbing Blood Plain, the Blood Province had lost one of its peak forces. In addition, the news of the true god's descent had spread throughout the Blood Province, causing all the forces to fall into chaos. Some joined the camp of the true gods, and some saw it as the final doomsday of the 9 regions. They crazily burned, killed, and plundered, enjoying their last moments. Blood Province, Coiling Dragon City. Countless slave boys and girls that had been freed by Lin Shun looked around in confusion. Why are you here, Lin Shun? My hegemony will be repaid with your life one day. The 2 8th-level combat emperors were severely injured and escaped into the void. Lin Shun didn't chase after them. He had already looted the entire Coiling Dragon City and dissected most of the rare treasures. I didn't expect that the false god's plan had already reached deep into the 9 provinces. They even have their pawns in the Blood Province. The 4 peak forces that had been destroyed previously all had strongholds that extracted the energy from the Earth's core. Moreover, the energy had already been extracted. It could be seen that the false god had already planted a seed of disaster in the Blood Province. Fortunately, I discovered early. If these false gods were allowed to infiltrate the 9 provinces for another 10,000 years, no, perhaps within 5,000 years, 1/3 of the Earth's core energy would have been extracted by them. If the Earth's core energy was too little, it would cause the collapse of a large province. It wouldn't be able to support a large province that could support trillions of living beings. If a large province lost 1/3 of its Earth's core energy, it would cause landslides, tsunamis, spatial storms, and other large-scale natural disasters. It was enough to threaten all living beings below the Combat Emperor realm. If more than half of the Earth's core energy was lost, the continent would begin to split apart. From a certain point of view, Lin Shen's appearance had caused the false gods to be extremely fearful. They descended in advance and avoided these extremely dangerous situations. Otherwise, a terrifying disaster would erupt in the 9 provinces thousands of years later, covering every large province. At that time, it was unknown how many people would die. Lin Shun activated a wisp of mental energy and injected it into the minds of the rescued boys and girls. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit and vitality for the first time since they had become slaves. Thank you, benefactor, for bestowing us with such an opportunity. We will never forget your life-saving grace. Many slave boys and girls knelt down in excitement. The mental energy that Lin Shun had bestowed upon them was none other than Lin Shen's fighting spirit. Just like passing down a cultivation technique, Lin Shun had passed on a portion of his fighting spirit to them. Lin Shun waved his hand and a spatial passage opened. This spatial passage leads to the border of the Blood Province. Whether you little guys can survive or not, it's up to you. After saying this, Lin Shun and Bai Ruoyan's figures flashed as they teleported through the void. They left the last option for all the liberated slaves. Lin Shun and Bai Ruoyan swept through the entire Blood Province in almost a day. Lin Shun, I'm gonna King kill you. Devil, this guy is an unparalleled devil. Our 9 Devil Dragon Gate has accumulated for tens of thousands of years, but all of it has been swept away by this bastard. CK, the Spiritual State Alliance. Little guys, let's go and kill the spiritual state. We only have one target, and that is Lin Shun. We must take his head no matter what. Wherever Lin Shun went, the number of curses increased at the same speed as his attribute points. After sweeping through 90% of the forces in the Blood Province, Lin Shun had gained nearly 2 billion battle chi essence in almost a day. It seemed that he was only a little bit away from the late stage of level 7. In the main hall of the Cloud Pavilion in Fallen Soul City. At this moment, Lin Shun was holding the neck of a man in a blood-red robe with one hand. His robe was embroidered with the words, "Sacrifice for the true God." Ha ha ha. Lin Shun, so what if you can kill me? Master Jian Tianming has already led all the forces in the Danzhou and is preparing to head to the headquarters in the Godly Land. You're just a loser. The man in a blood-red robe laughed sinisterly. Master Jian Tianming is a descendant of the first true God. His strength is enough to crush a lowly person like you. If he didn't come out of seclusion for 1,000 years, there wouldn't be a legend of you. Lin Shun. Oh, a descendant of the first false god? Lin Shun raised his eyebrows. Ever since he stepped into the War Emperor realm, the descendants of the false god were no longer worthy of his attention. He didn't expect the false god family to have a descendant of the first false god. The man in a blood-red robe laughed maniacally with blood at the corner of his mouth. Ha ha! When the true God descends, we will obtain eternal life. A loser like you is destined to turn into dust under the true God's power. I heard that Master Jian Tianming is very interested in the woman beside you. After you die, Master Jian Tianming will definitely make your woman comfortable. Crack! Lin Shun broke his neck. His frivolous smile gradually disappeared, and his expression was incomparably calm. Bai Ruoyan quietly stood beside him. She knew that Jian Tianming might be finished. Dragons have reverse scales, and those who touch them will die. Chapter 749. Jian Tianming, right? I'll make sure you won't be able to see daylight. Activating super-dimensional teleportation. Teleporting the host to Dimension 5. Consuming 2,300,000 talent points. Whoosh! The Dimension Light Pillar broke open, and Lin Shun, who had used Green Dragon Shadow, entered the void and arrived at Holy Pill City. Pill State's Holy Pill City was once the holy land in the hearts of countless alchemists. It was an extremely dignified place, but now it had become a gathering place for people from all walks of life. With the Azure Dragon Shadow protecting his body, Lin Shun released 4 doppelgangers. This time, countless factions had gathered in Holy Pill City. Not only did Lin Shun want to kill people, but he also wanted to use this opportunity to disintegrate his clones. Go! The four clones entered the void and hid their auras. The mental strength of the clones was like two huge nets, covering all their auras as they escaped towards the four directions of Holy Pill City. Lin Shan did not say anything. He spread his purple phoenix wings and headed straight for Holy Pill City's True God Hall. The True God Hall was built at the back of the Peak Pill Assembly. It was majestic and upright like a sword. There were also many words of congratulations to the True God carved on it. Factions from different 9 states gathered in the True God Hall. They sat quietly in the main hall. Lin Shan did not dare to enter the hall directly. These factions were not like ordinary ancient families. Some of them were very powerful and might be able to find traces of Green Dragon Shadow. If he was discovered, he would be attacked by all of them. Lin Shan was not afraid of these experts, but he was afraid that Jian Tianming would take advantage of the chaos to escape. How much longer does Lord Tianming need? What's the hurry? Lord Tianming is the first descendant of a true god. He said that the true god would reward us with a sacred body. There will definitely be one. Since he said it, it will not be wrong. But it seems that Lord Jian Tianming was very angry before. Lin Shan, who had concealed his aura, stood at a window and secretly eavesdropped on the conversation inside. A large number of leaders were discussing curiously. It's normal for him to be in a bad mood. After Master Jian Tianming came out of seclusion and heard the rumors about Lin Shan of the spiritual state, he couldn't wait to deal with him. The great true god doesn't want Jian Tianming to come in contact with Lin Shan and has forbidden him from taking action. Although he can't take action, Lord Jian Tianming is a foodie by nature. After he found out about those women who were related to Lin Shan, he personally took action. However, he returned empty-handed. Naturally, he is not in a good mood. Old devil, you even know this? It seems like you're already a favorite of Lord Tianming's. Lin Shan, who had eavesdropped on their conversation, had a fierce look on his face. His killing intent was especially violent. It turns out that this bastard had been eyeing my friends for a long time. If it weren't for the emissary of the sacred boundary who took everyone away, it might have been an irreversible outcome. Lin Shan decided that Jian Tianming must die. The number of masters and forces gathered in Danzhou was almost second only to the headquarters of the Fake God Alliance in the Divine Land. In addition, a large number of forces from the Battle Emperor of the Firmament Tower had also come out of seclusion. The forces in the Firmament Tower usually didn't come into contact with the land of the 9 states. However, at least half of the forces in the Firmament Tower were involved this time. In main cities number 5 to number 10, more than half of the masters on the battle list had come out. This time, the Fake Out Alliance had put in a lot of effort. In terms of the number of masters, the forces in Danzhou were equal to the alliance of the spiritual state. This was only a part of the strength of the Fake God Alliance, which meant that the headquarters would be even more powerful. Lin Shan narrowed his eyes. He wasn't afraid of fighting, but how could he fight against so many forces head-on and ensure that he could convert the large amount of resources they had gathered here into attribute points? This was much more difficult than fighting. I must create an opportunity to attract everyone's attention. Just as Lin Shan was thinking of a solution, a deep voice sounded out. Lord Tianming is back. Hearing this, Lin Shan's murderous aura surged. The 9 tribulation battle bodies were ready to take action. Outside the godly palace, a young man came in on a sword. He was carrying a 3-foot-long sword and had his hands behind his back. His eyebrows were as sharp as swords, and he looked very handsome. The young man's demonic red eyes looked cold. He didn't look like an old monster who had lived for 100,000 years. Instead, he looked like a slightly evil scholar swordsman. His golden eyes turned. Lin Shan was surprised to find that this person was at the middle stage of level 9 and was a sword emperor. He held the chains in his hands, and the chains bound 2 beautiful women in thin clothes. Jian Tianming pulled the 2 women into the palace like dogs. All the leaders of the forces in the palace stood up in awe. Greetings, Lord Tianming. Jian Tianming casually nodded and asked in a casual manner. Well, you're all here, right? Dragon power surged, and energy waves flashed in all directions. Lin Shun, who was at the left window of the palace, was about to make a move. Suddenly, the expression in his eyes changed, and he revealed a smile that was full of interest. Interesting. A doppelganger actually encountered such a thing? Lin Shin's consciousness went into the fourth doppelganger. Lin Shin's main body temporarily left the True God Palace. Southeast of the Holy Pill City, there was a palace with a special barrier. The palace was majestic. It was made of jade. There were valleys on both sides, and birds were singing and flowers were fragrant. The Azure Dragon possession was on the fourth doppelganger, and the Azure Dragon shadow completely eliminated his aura. The doppelganger was lying on the ceiling of a room. The scenery in the room was amazing. Damn it, why are you so useless? I came to find you behind Tian Ming's back. Don't worry, we still have a long time today. Ha ha, no one will find this place. The old man and the woman looked at each other calmly. They flipped the sheets over and over again, and Lin Shan was very happy to see this. However, the most important thing was the conversation between the two. This woman was actually Jian, Tianming's lover. Interesting, haha. The doppelganger touched his chin and took out his treasure, the demonic eye stone. Then, he aimed the demonic eye stone at the two of them. At the same time, Lin Shin's main body, who was in the Holy Pill Plaza, smiled evilly. Lin Shin's main body also opened the demonic eye stone and placed it on the highest seat in the Holy Pill Plaza. Then, he connected the light refraction of the other demonic eye stone. Whoosh! At this moment, a light screen that was 10 feet wide and 100 feet long appeared. This sudden scene attracted everyone's attention. It had to be known that after these few days of gathering, there were too many powers and experts gathered in the Sacred Dance City. In an instant, it attracted millions of people to look at the light screen projected by the Magic Eye Stone. On the light screen, there were two white figures rolling back and forth on the bed. Any normal person would know what they were doing. Damn it, who did this? Even if he wanted to do this, he shouldn't have taken out the demonic eye stone. Amazing. What's going on? Looking at the dumbfounded expressions on the faces of many experts, this was really amazing. How could such a thing be used with the demonic eye stone? Damn it, you're great. You're much stronger than Jian Tianming. At this moment, a woman's soft voice came from the demonic eye stone, causing countless experts' scalps to explode. The woman on the light screen was actually Jian Tianming's woman. At this moment, a young man's voice mixed with vigorous battle aura spread tens of thousands of miles, covering the entire plaza. Welcome to the large-scale live broadcast of the Green Hat King's birth. I'm the commentator for this broadcast, Handsome Eagle. Everyone can affectionately call me Handsome Eagle. More and more people looked over, and the twisting silhouettes on the screen continued to attract new gazes. All right, let's focus on the screen now. Everyone can see that our male lead is currently taking a passive defensive approach. However, his lower body is very stable. It looks like he's panicking, but he's actually as steady as an old dog. He's using inaction to counter the enemy's attack, and he doesn't lose to his valiant aura. He's really an expert among the experts in the field of flowers. Lin Mao's serious commentary caused the various forces to suck in a breath of cold air. Let's take a look at our female lead. Her skills are superb. She's like a flying dragon with a jade face. She can reach the Milky Way under the 9 heavens and search for the sun and moon above the 9 heavens. She's really brilliant and full of energy. She's so good that my scalp feels numb. Hey, our male lead has suddenly changed his attack style. Could it be that this is the legendary clay ox disappearing into the sea? At this moment, a handsome young man standing below the plaza suddenly shouted coldly. No, he's trying to stir up trouble. Chapter 750. Taking Fire from a Mountain? F***CK. I'm convinced. Truly, the boundless sea of lasciviousness is like a boat, extremely coquettish and invincible. Is this the F***king time to admire him? Inside and outside, the Holy Pill Plaza All the war emperors who were floating in the air felt their scalps go numb. Crazy. This must be crazy. Which deity dared to do such a ridiculous thing? Lord Jian Tianming's woman cuckolded him and was released on the spot? This was the god of longevity hanging himself. Did he think that his life was too long? Boom. Then, from the southwest direction, on the other side of the Holy Pill Plaza, hundreds of thousands of miles away, another light screen was projected in the Pill Emperor Palace's area. The scene shown on this light screen was exactly the same as the Holy Pill Plaza, but its angle was changed to the side. Countless strong people's eyes almost popped out. King changed the viewing angle? Why don't you go to heaven? Why was this thing so particular? The actual situation was that Lin Qin's clone only needed to fix the position of the demonized stone, and it wouldn't be discovered at all. He quietly placed the second demonized stone in the room to let more people see it and attract more strong people's attention. This way, he would have the opportunity to sneak into the most heavily guarded area and break down the many resources allocated for the fake god. Boom! Two streams of battle chi rushed into the sky, trying to destroy the light screen projected by the demon ice stone. In an instant, Lin Qin's 9 million dragon power points punched them into dregs. The commentator's voice continued. At this time, it can be seen that the male and female leads of both sides are locked in a fierce battle. From their posture and aura, both sides are about equal. The male lead doesn't have the advantage of making the first move, but the female lead is very calm. She's not moving like a mountain, but she's condensed like a wave. Everyone look, at this time, our female lead used an old tree's roots. Wow, this male lead is even stronger. He actually did a few backflips for our female lead, and then did a free 250-degree spin to use a little eel looking for its mother. F***CK. Exciting. 2F***King exciting. I'm so touched that I'm about to cry. At this moment, our female lead's attacks are retreating bit by bit. Is it coming? Is it the kind of hysteria that can't be broken by a dam bursting and crashing into your face? No, she didn't. Our female lead is very tenacious. She actually used the beggar's cooking move. Lin Fan's excited explanation and the wonderful scene made the various forces stand there in a daze, dumbfounded. Some of the innocent little cuties were even watching with relish. Mr. Lin of the spiritual state, was indeed a genius commentator who was held back by the world of acting tough. Buzz. In the northwest, on the summit of Mount Lingjian, two more light screens appeared. Lin Qin's third doppelganger had taken out two new demonized stones. These two light screens were even more terrifying. The location was just right. It was right in the middle of where countless Yuan venerates and heavenly Dipper Martialists were. Therefore, even more people were able to see this wonderful scene. This screen was even clearer than the other two screens, and it was moving slowly, showing a different angle of view. Some of the older generation experts were even more dumbfounded. It was King rotating the angle of view. Inside the True God Hall, Jian Tianming was talking to the leaders of the various forces. Lord Tianming, this is bad. Two battle emperors rushed into the hall and knelt down on one knee, sweating profusely. Lord Jian Tianming, something has happened outside. Jian Tianming frowned. What's the matter? The two battle emperors looked at each other and trembled. I don't know how to describe it. I hope Lord Tianming can make a trip down personally. Jian Tianming saw that the outside world was getting noisier and noisier. With a flick of his sleeve, two gusts of wind blasted through the bodies of the two battle emperors, causing them to vomit blood and faint. Two pieces of trash. What's the use of keeping you if you don't even know how to report? Rumble. Jian Tianming turned into a ray of swordlight. The sect masters and patriarchs of the various forces were curious and followed closely behind. Hundreds of powerful battle emperors emerged from the True God Hall and headed straight for the sacred Elixir Square. When Jian Tianming, who was in the lead, arrived at the square, the scene reflected by the light screen in the void stunned him. The woman in the picture was his personal concubine. Damn it, you are much stronger than Tianming. Oh, The unbearable moans from the demonic eye stone made the experts who had just arrived frown. Damn it, Jian Tianming had played with the woman for his entire life. This time, his woman was played by someone else. Looking at the old man's face, he was Jian Tianming's uncle, an 8th-level battle emperor. He was one of the respected supreme elders of the true God family. Jian Tianming was furious. He could hear the excited voice of Ling Jian coming from the top of the mountain. Our male lead is still bursting with energy. He is looking for an opportunity. What? His speed is still increasing. It seems that he can reach a higher level. There are so many afterimages that I can't see clearly. Could this be the long-lost dance of the snake eel? He is 2F* king strong. Could it be that the winner is about to be revealed? Is it coming? The female contestant's hysterical voice is about to hit your face? No, she is not. She is standing up. She is standing up. Clap, clap, clap. Lin Chen even clapped his hands. The experts standing behind Jian Tianming felt their scalps go numb. What the F***CK? There was even an explanation. Wonderful, very wonderful. I, handsome eagle, have never seen such a wonderful love action scene. At this very moment, this feeling in this scene is truly a rare sight in the world. I, handsome eagle, can only write a poem to express the admiration in my heart. The valley of a stream opens up 2 peach peaks. The 3-foot spear defeats the navy. There are 4 turns, 5 turns, 6 groans, and 7 turns, 8 turns, and 9 turns. I really admire you. I really admire you. Bang! Rip! The sword light was like a dragon, shattering the light screen of the demonic eye stone. Jian Tianming turned around and roared at the people beside him. Quick, go and find this B***TCH. Damn it, I want to kill these 2 B* stars with my own hands. This was a complete disgrace to his grandmother's house. How could such a scene be played in front of so many people? Was the whole world going to know that they were cheated on? Lin Chen jumped and appeared not far away from Jian Tianming and the others. He laughed arrogantly. So it is our Lord Jian Tianming. Good timing. After saying that, Lin Chen threw a crown made of emerald at Jian Tianming. I, Lin Chen, am willing to call you the greenest, king of green hats. Bang! The finger light flashed across the sky. Jian Tianming shattered the green crown with 1 finger. His expression was uncertain. Lin Chen, how is it? Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Lin Chen jumped up and activated Golden Eye's twin. Now, almost 80% of the forces had gathered in the square. Almost all the top experts in the True God Hall were gathered here. Now is the time. Let's stall for time first. Then, we'll turn around and attack them from the back. After making up his mind, Lin Chen's first clone sneaked into the back of the True God Hall. It was in front of Sky Island. 2,000 feet long spaceships were parked there. There were only 2 8th-level combat emperors, 5 7th-level combat emperors, and more than 20 low-level combat emperors guarding it. Chapter 751. Oh my god, there are even level 7 treasured artifacts in there. Lin Chen's doppelganger's purple-golden eyes glimmered as he looked around. It was indeed a gathering of forces, second only to the headquarters of the fake gods. There were at least hundreds of ancient families here. The Golden Eyes twins' pupils trembled slightly. Lin Chen could vaguely see that there was a little girl in the Heaven Star border realm hiding at the front of the ship. What was even stranger was that this little girl seemed to have the mental strength of a perfected transcendence realm expert. How is this possible? Even many combat emperors don't have the mental strength of a perfected transcendence realm expert. Lin Chen's doppelganger revealed a trace of shock. The snow-white jade scroll on his chest flashed, and Bai Ruoyan's beautiful figure appeared. She was slightly worried. Is it not done yet? There were too many experts in the Holy Pill City. Even she did not want Lin Chen to go so deep into the enemy's camp. Almost all the forces of 3 continents were gathered here. If they attacked together, there would be too many variables. Don't worry. We will take action once the battle starts. Lin Chen's doppelganger smiled. The other side he was pointing at was naturally the Holy Pill Plaza. This kid is Lin Chen? I didn't expect that after we secluded ourselves in the tower for 10,000 years, there would be such a genius in the 9 continents. He is indeed arrogant to barge into our headquarters alone. Some of the old monsters in the firmament tower showed interest in Lin Chen. However, Jian Tianming was so angry that his eyes turned red. He pulled out his sword and pointed it at Lin Chen. You are Lin Chen? Very good. I haven't found you yet, and you are courting death yourself. I can't take it anymore, old man. I'm going to die. A woman's moan came from the demonized stone on the other side. Lin Chen was still looking serious a moment ago, but suddenly there was a sound. Lin Chen said, Mr. Jian, I have undergone strict training. No matter how funny it is, I will not laugh unless I can't help it. Damn it. Hurry up and turn off that demonized stone for me. Jian Tianming was so angry that his neck turned red. He shouted at the 8th level combat emperors beside him. The 8th level combat emperors quickly rushed toward the direction of Ling Jin Mountain. Whoever can cripple this kid, I will give him a chance to forge a saint body. Although Jian Tianming was furious, Lin Chen was able to turn the land of the 9 prefectures upside down. He was not a coward. Jian Tianming would not be so naive as to let Jian Tianming take the lead. Shua, shua, shua. As soon as he finished speaking, the reclusive old monsters from the firmament tower stepped into the air and leaped like stars, blocking all of Lin Chen's escape routes. This old man was just worrying about not having any merits. Little fellow, you actually delivered yourself to my doorstep. 2 black mist-like skeletons appeared in front of Lin Chen. Suddenly, one of the black mist-like skeletons reached out and grabbed at Lin Chen, trying to tear his ribs apart and dismember him. TSK. Bang. The black mist-like skeletons surged, but Lin Fan did not move at all. The 3 inches calamity on his chest shone brightly, and the golden flying dragon armor shone brightly. He stared at the figure inside the skeletons with a mocking smile. What's wrong? Did you not eat? Use more strength. How is this possible? The black-robed old man inside the black mist-like skeletons cried out in shock. He was a mid-9th level combat emperor. Even a late 9th level combat emperor would not be able to withstand his attack so easily. Rip. Boom. Lin Chen twisted the space with his 7 ultimate pulling force. The black-robed old man's proud movement technique lost half of its power. While he was still in shock, the wind from Lin Chen's punch pierced through his body. He spat out blood and retreated violently. A few attribute light balls rolled out. Let's attack together. This kid is strange. Many experts shouted angrily. Lin Chen ignored them and kicked the black-robed old man away with his ripping force. His flesh and blood were mangled. As the attribute light balls continued to fall, he screamed in agony. Every inch of the light was like a star. A dragon-like saber aura slashed down from the top of Lin Chen's head. Sword aura from all directions stirred up the wind and clouds. Countless attacks were formed in an instant. The space was frozen by the experts in the tower. Bang! Boom! The spiritual energy of heaven and earth within a 500-kilometer radius exploded in an instant. A 10,000 feet long energy hurricane swept up in Lin Chen's direction. Something's wrong. That kid has rushed out. Suddenly, a heavenly ascension realm spiritual power expert shouted. A dark chi whirlpool spun like a star, heading straight for Jian Tianming. Unscathed? He does have some tricks up his sleeves. Sword body. Jian Tianming activated his holy body. Thousands of sword auras surged all over his body. His aura soared into the sky and illuminated the entire holy elixir square. The encirclement of Lin Chen, led by Jian Tianming, immediately started in the holy elixir square. Countless forces were involved in this battle. Jian Tianming and the others did not care about these people's lives at all. They focused on attacking Lin Chen. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the sky. A 10,000 feet long green dragon appeared. The azure dragon tail was like a divine sword that slashed violently into the sky. The dragon's sword slashed horizontally, pushing back more than 70 battle emperors. The sword slashed 3 late 8th level battle emperors in the front row, sending their heads flying. Many experts took in a breath of cold air fiercely. What kind of dragon was this? It was impossible for him to push back so many of them with a single slash, even if the Dragon Patriarch or the 10 Great Dragon Patriarchs were here personally. Lingjian Mountain, Pill Emperor Palace. A huge battle broke out in 2 directions at the same time. Lin Qin's doppelgangers were fighting. Just as the battle was in full swing, the giant spaceship behind the True God Hall was attacked fiercely by the doppelgangers. Lord Jian Tianming. This place is RIP. The last 8th level combat emperor was sliced into 2 halves at the waist. Lin Shun casually collected the attribute light balls that had fallen to the ground. Then, he decisively rushed into the giant ship. No one would have thought that Lin Shun would personally come to the Holy Pill City to challenge so many experts. In addition, the giant spaceship was less than 100 miles away from the True God Hall. Jian Tianming didn't send too many experts to guard this place. All of them had gathered at the True God Hall. Pure milky white flames burned the entire sky, sealing this space completely. Bai Ruoyan personally guarded Lin Qin's doppelgangers. After entering the first giant spaceship, there were many top-grade treasures piled up like mountains. Some were as cold as an iceberg, some were as hot as a roaring fire dragon, and some were an ancient dragon bone that condensed the power of the stars from outer space. All of them were special treasures that couldn't be stored in a storage ring, and some were a whole row of high-grade storage rings. However, Lin Qin's doppelgangers didn't seem to be interested in these things. They rushed into the front cabin of the giant spaceship. What a strong attribute light. Where did this little girl come from? Before Lin Qin entered the cabin, he could feel the attribute light that was as strong as the sun. He pushed open the front cabin. Woo, woo. The girl's struggling and fearful voice was heard. Her mouth was covered. She looked like a 16-year-old girl. Her long hair was like a waterfall. She had a small, oval-shaped face. Her skin was smooth and creamy. Her green eyes were filled with fear. What was even more mysterious was her dark purple pupils. Lin Chun could feel that there was an extraordinary mental strength surging in her pupils. If it wasn't for the special mental seal, she would have launched a mental attack on Lin Chun. What a strong mental strength. What kind of special physique is this? He was almost blinded by the attribute light. This girl's body was actually filled with yellow attribute light balls and green mental strength attribute values. Lin Shin roughly estimated that this girl's mid-grade cultivation technique soul essence attribute values were at least tens of millions of points. This terrifying value made Lin Chen's scalp tingle. Chapter 752. One had to know that when he dissected a top-grade, mid-level purple rank technique, it was only worth less than 30,000 mid-level technique essence. This young girl actually had 10 million? Who exactly was she? The situation was urgent, and Lin Shun didn't have the time to ask about the young girl's background. Seeing her frightened expression, it was impossible for her to answer normally. Lin Shun placed his hand on the young girl's shoulder. She thought that he was going to violate her, and her mental energy increased sharply. She was about to self-detonate. With a thought, a huge amount of mental energy immediately appeared, calming the fear in the young girl's heart and preventing her from self-detonate. In the next moment, Lin Chen's expression changed greatly. With my mental energy at the heavenly completion realm middle stage, there aren't many people in the entire 9 prefectures who can surpass me. Yet, I can't stop a little girl's self-detonate? Lin Shun was a little dumbfounded. There were more and more strange things happening on this young girl's body. Just as Lin Shun was about to use the slow rune to stop her, the spiritual light circulating around the young girl's body suddenly dimmed. A series of attribute light balls were crazily sucked away by Lin Shun. Obtained 1 million points of technique essence, 1,500,000 points of technique essence, 1,200,000 points of technique essence. Obtained 4,800 points of mental energy, 4,100 points of mental energy, 4,500 points of mental energy. His attributes soared wildly. Lin Chen's mid-level technique essence and mid-level mental energy attributes rose by 2,400,000 points and 280,000 points respectively. Lin Chen's mental energy increased sharply, nearing the peak of the heavenly completion realm middle stage. His mental energy attribute broke through 1,200,000 points. What kind of deity is this? Lin Chen was stunned. Just the cultivation of the heavenly dipper realm was enough to increase his attributes. It was more than the attribute points obtained from plundering 7 or 8 ancient families. According to common sense, those with a cultivation lower than Lin Chen's would drop very few attribute light balls. Even if it was a 7th level combat emperor, to Lin Chen, it was almost impossible for them to drop attribute light balls. The girl who had her attribute light sphere taken away by Lin Chen didn't lose anything. Just like Shangguan Bihan, when Lin Chen took away her attribute light sphere, the girl felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off her shoulders. Her eyebrows relaxed, and she fell asleep peacefully. This is too amazing. A 16-year-old in the Heaven Star Border realm, and he's even at the perfected Transcendence realm. Iji's ethereal physique is a few levels stronger. What kind of monstrous talent is this? Lin Chen's avatar couldn't help but be moved. However, he didn't have the time to think or understand too much right now. What he was sure of was that if this woman fell into the hands of the fake divinity, the consequences would be unimaginable. Lin Chen picked up the white-clothed girl and activated the decomposition function, crazily decomposing the countless rare treasures in the giant spatial ship. Consumed 20,000 heavenly Tao points to activate the decomposition function. Host receives 55 million Qi and blood energy, 8,900 points of fire energy, 45 million points of battle Qi essence, 1,200 points of mental strength, 1,000 points of blank attribute, and 40,000 points of talent. Lin Chen seized all the heavenly materials and earthly treasures, medicinal herbs, and other resources, and took them all. Everything that came into contact with his palm was decomposed into infinite attribute values. After Lin Chen set off from the spirit state, he had raided countless forces along the way. His elemental attribute values and mental strength had skyrocketed. He had also gained billions of battle Qi essence points. Rumble. The moment Lin Chen decomposed all the treasures and resources in the first giant spatial ship, an even more powerful wave of battle Qi surged from his body, like the roar of a furious dragon. His cultivation had finally broken through to the late stage of the 7th level. The better one's potential, the stronger one's foundation, and the stronger one's breakthrough. Lin Chen's mid-level elemental attribute values averaged around 4 million points. With his strong foundation, his mid-level battle Qi essence broke through the barrier of 20 billion points. It was like a true dragon breaking through the world, roaring angrily to the 9 heavens. Little brother Lin Chen, we've been discovered. Suddenly, Bai Ruoyan's voice rang out. She then saw that Lin Chen was actually carrying a white-clothed young girl. Her appearance was elegant, and she was a living beauty. She couldn't help but be stunned. Robbery was robbery, but why did he bring out a girl? Lin Chen's doppelganger replied, "Give me some more time. Sister Ruoyan, delay them." With that, he immediately rushed into the second giant spatial ship. At the Holy Pill Square, Lin Chen's main body, 3 doppelgangers, and the Dragon Emperor were surrounded by all the experts. Lin Chen relied on the ultimate moment to enhance his infinite silent step, and his figure flashed several times. No matter how strong the opponent's lineup was, they couldn't trap him. Coupled with his speed, the attacks that hit him were very limited. The current Lin Chen could be said to be a perfect combination of attack, defense, and speed. His metal elemental energy had exceeded 5 million points. After activating the gold calamity battle body, his body's hardness was comparable to that of a superior 7th-stage defensive artifact. With his high elemental attribute and the 3-inch calamity, coupled with the golden hell flying dragon armor, the opponent's late-stage 9th-stage attacks couldn't hurt Lin Shen at all. Rumble. A terrifying battle aura fluctuation came from Lin Shen's body. His main body's cultivation had broken through to the late-stage 7th stage. Along with all his doppelgangers, they had advanced. A breakthrough in cultivation. Something's not right. This kid doesn't plan to fight with us. This kid is stalling for time. Not good. Our stuff. Many experts reacted quickly. Their eyes were like lightning as they immediately locked onto the spatial ship behind the True God Hall. As expected, that spatial location had been blocked by some mysterious power. Even they couldn't sense it due to the spatial crystal wall. Some reclusive old monsters were confused by the reward of forging a sacred body. After coming back to their senses, they immediately rushed toward the spatial ship. Lin Shen, you actually dare to sneak around and steal things from me. Jian Tianming, who had activated the Thunder Fire Sword body, was surrounded by countless lightning arcs. His eyes were like fire, and his expression was furious. All right, now is the time to fight. Lin Shen let out a thunderous roar and activated the 7 transformations. His aura suddenly soared, breaking through to an even higher realm like a hot knife through butter. Lin Shen, whose cultivation had temporarily entered the late-stage 8th stage, continued to climb. Even with the Azura 9 Brilliance Transformations 7 transformation, he still stopped before the 9th stage. Is this the bottleneck of the 9th stage Combat Emperor? I'm afraid that I can only break through to the 8th stage and activate the 7-fold transformation to break through this bottleneck. The higher the cultivation of the Combat Emperor, the more Lin Shen could feel the absolute difference between the levels and cultivation. Rip, bang. The clone that pulled the Wind Emperor bow shot an arrow at 2 8th-stage Combat Emperors who were trying to track the spatial ship. A sword light shot out in all directions. More than 50 older generation Combat Emperors had solemn expressions as they used their ultimate skills. One after another, the ultimate skills of the purple rank and above were used. Rumble. The sword broke through the 9 directions, and its aura soared into the sky. The sword split the attacks of many experts. The sword light exploded, and the remaining sword aura swept across. Bang, bang, bang. The 2 8th-stage Combat Emperors in front exploded and died. A 9th-stage Combat Emperor retreated with injuries. The other Combat Emperors suffered different degrees of injuries. They were shocked and frightened. What kind of attack was this? It actually had the characteristic of penetrating the defense of battle chi and treasured weapons. Chapter 753. With the Meridian sword in hand, 1 sword and 1 bow, the 2 clones stood proudly in the middle of the crowd. Clang! The spear pierced through the clouds, and a star-like spear light blasted on Jian Tianming's Thunderfire sword. Jian Tianming raised his sword and slashed horizontally. The sword edge and the spear light clashed, and he was forced to retreat dozens of steps before he could stabilize himself. Lin Shen was forced back a few steps by the sword. He spun in the air, and his silver robe fluttered in the wind. He landed on the dragon's head cleanly, and his robe fluttered in the wind. Now is the beginning of the show. Don't worry. Holding the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand, Lin Shen's back was as straight as a spear. He looked majestic as he stood proudly on top of the Dragon Emperor's head. His lips curled into a devilish smile. Jian Tianming's pupil shrank. Damn it! A secret skill that can raise one's cultivation by a few realms. So this is his true strength. This kid hit it well. Previously, Lin Shen had been using his movement skills and pure strength to deal with them, causing Jian Tianming to think that his battle chi cultivation was not worth mentioning. Now, he had the support of the Calamity Combat body, and more than one. Don't be afraid. We have more than 207th level combat emperors, 108th level combat emperors, and 37 ninth level combat emperors. Why should we be afraid of this kid? Let's attack together. Kill him, and the true God will reward us handsomely. Today is the day of our ascension. The two reclusive, old monsters from a firmament tower calmed their hearts. Everyone was blinded by the benefits, and they roared and charged toward Lin Shun. It had to be said that the title of true God was too famous. Even these old monsters who had lived for tens of thousands of years would risk their lives for him. The temptation of power was enough to make people crazy. The three clones drew their bows and swords, and their fists were as fierce as dragons pouncing on tigers. They brazenly fought with the combat emperors who were flashing in the sky. The Dragon Emperor used the frightening dragon roam and rushed into the crowd of combat emperors. It had activated 960,000 dragon veins, and with its strong defense, it did not need to be afraid of the opponent's attack. Rumble. The attack that tore through the sky exploded once again. For the first time, the sacred Pill Plaza, which had not been damaged after experiencing hundreds of thousands of years of changes, began to show signs of cracking. Lin Shen's real body stood opposite Jian Tianming, allowing the intense battle to continue. However, the two of them were not disturbed at all. What's wrong? Are you scared now? When he saw Jian Tianming's grave expression, Lin Shun smiled mockingly. Scared? You don't have the qualifications for me to mention this word. You have a trump card, but so do I. Jian Tianming sneered. Lin Shen nodded in agreement. As expected of the Green Hat King. Your words are indeed different. I admire you. Jian Tianming. What the F*** CK, rip? Lin Shan waited for an opportunity to strike with his spear like a dragon. With a move of Do Huang, style 86, Moon breaks the galaxy. His spear cut open the dome of the heavens, and his dragon power surged. Sword scars that were as thin as gossamer pierced through the void. Sword and spear collided, tearing the sky apart. The power of this strike was not small. Lin Shan was pushed back dozens of miles, but he was still at ease. At this moment, a continuous stream of healing power entered his body, nourishing Lin Shan's minor injuries. Consumed 10,000 talent points. Lethal Bloodlust has been successfully activated. 28% healing effect has been obtained from actual damage. Successfully triggered talent combination skill. Host can unconditionally activate the active talent of the talent combination skill. Lin Shen's eyes lit up, and he activated talent combination skill. Sovereign's Descent. Host activated talent combination skill. Sovereign's Descent. Beginning to accumulate energy, 0 points. Every war emperor that the three clones killed, other than dropping attribute light orbs, all of them began to turn into energy and accumulate in the Sovereign's Descent talent. On the other side, Jian Tianming, who was fighting Lin Shun, did not retreat. However, he spat out a mouthful of blood and was shocked. His attack penetrated my defense. It's too strange. I can't give him a chance. I have to end this quickly. With a thought, Jian Tianming activated the power of the bloodline in his body. With a buzz, his magnificent aura was like the sun and moon hanging high in the sky. It was as if a sage had descended and suppressed all living things. Jian Tianming, who was covered in lightning, had flames flowing all over his body like a coiling dragon. He was like a thunder and fire giant that had descended from the heavens. Combined with his sharp and unstoppable swordsmanship cultivation, he gave off a sense of oppression that none of the experts present could match. His cultivation level was at the middle stage of ninth heaven. With the combination of a holy physique and the power of the bloodline, he was not inferior to some of the mid-level demon lords that Lin Shun had encountered in the Heaven Tower. His strength was comparable to a first tribulation battle emperor. Is that the power of the bloodline of the first generation false god's descendant? Interesting. I want to see how strong it is. Today, even if a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal comes personally, you will still die. Lin Shun held the spear tightly. Suddenly, Flames and lightning flashed past. It was so fast that it was difficult for the naked eye to catch it due to the battle aura. The tip of Jian Tianming's sword almost instantly pierced through Lin Chen's face. Clang! The spear reverberated and more than 9 million dragons of dragon power burst out, blocking the tip of the sword. Lin Chen's arm was numb from the impact. Jian Tianming's sword did not stop there. He slashed 10 times at lightning speed. Lin Chen retreated again and again. He took advantage of the gap and slashed at Jian Tianming's waist with his cutting force. This time, the charging rune and the piercing rune were activated together. The blade-like leg's strength penetrated Jian Tianming's defense. His bones were broken, and he was sent flying while vomiting blood. Lin Shun smashed the tip of the spear furiously, causing Jian Tianming's sword to creak. Then, he used the silent step and appeared behind Jian Tianming like a ghost. He struck out with his palm. Mystical Dragon Claw. Jian Tianming struck out with his claw. The two of them collided. Like two streaks of lightning, they constantly flashed across the sky. Wherever they passed, everything in their path was destroyed. Lin Shun, who had always suppressed his enemies with speed, was caught by his opponent for the first time with his infinite silent step. This place was not the spiritual state, so Lin Shun could fight this guy alone without holding back. His bloodline was the Thunder Sword bloodline, which could increase his speed by a large margin. With the help of his saint body and cultivation base, he could forcefully catch up with Lin Chen's infinite silent step. If Lin Shun used his 4 clones to attack Jian Tianming, his combat strength would be on par with the First Tribulation Combat Emperor. He was evenly matched with Jian Tianming. 8 Desolate Finger, Yang Dragon Force, Blood Sure, Eternal Night, 1,000 Swords, Sword Stop. Various top-tier combat techniques exploded from the two of them. Countless masters were dumbfounded. They were constantly affected by the aftershocks of their battle and had to leave the battlefield to the two of them. On the other side, the location of the spatial ship was discovered. 3 9th-level combat emperors surrounded by Royan. She easily blocked them all with ease. On the other hand, Lin Chen's clones were dissecting all the rare treasures at a speed visible to the naked eye. Endless resources were converted into his attribute points. After dozens of breaths of fierce battle, no one knew that the treasures and resources they had carefully prepared had all been dissected by Lin Shun. Bang! The spear and sword collided. The sword rotated, the spear twisted, and the spear twisted. The spear rotated, the sword blocked, and the sword slashed vertically. The 5-color dragon spear blocked the attack, and Lin Chen's momentum was overwhelming. He punched Jian Tianming's lower abdomen, tearing the space apart. Layers of lightning appeared in Jian Tianming's body and condensed into a lightning curtain. As he blocked the fist wind, his sword pierced through the space where Lin Shun was. He is indeed a monster. A trash who hasn't even reached 9th-level combat emperor can fight with me to this extent. Even my saint body and bloodline power can't defeat him. Chapter 754. Jian Tianming frowned. He never fought battles that he wasn't confident in. Now that he was facing Lin Shun, he finally understood why his fathers had tried to stop him from contacting Lin Shun. A fellow who didn't even have the cultivation of the early stage of the 9th level was actually able to fight evenly with him. This was simply an unprecedented anomaly. You have more than one bloodline power. Kid, you must be a bastard. Suddenly, Lin Chen sneered. No wonder Jian Tianming was so special. He probably had more than one bloodline of a fake god. He might have two. At the thought of this, Lin Shun felt like vomiting. Shut up. My identity and bloodline are many times nobler than a mortal dog like you. You have no right to talk nonsense. Like a fox whose tail had been stepped on, Jian Tianming roared furiously and laughed hysterically. My father, the almighty true gods, are about to descend upon the spiritual state. I'll treat your women and family members well. I'll humiliate them in front of you. Ha ha ha. Activated Heavenly Invisibility Rune. The host's spiritual attack has been concealed. Consumed 300,000 rune energy. Cooldown time, 40 seconds. Lin Chen's expression was dark, and his eyes were as cold as knives. Don't worry, you won't have a chance. The moment he said it, bam, a blue spiritual light beam that contained destructive energy shot across the sky and pierced through Jian Tianming's body and his spiritual sea like a wild dragon. What's this? Crack! His spiritual defensive artifact broke, and he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. However, he still had a trace of consciousness left. He immediately used his movement technique to escape. Swoosh! One of Lin Chen's avatars threw the wind emperor bow to him, and he reached out to catch it with a cold and emotionless expression. Lin Chen held the bow with one hand and placed the Five Dragons' imperial spear on the bowstring like an arrow. I'll make you die a horrible death. The moment he pulled the bowstring, a grayish-white talisman appeared out of nowhere and fell from the sky. Activated combination skill, Sovereign's Descent. Accumulated energy, 650,000 points. It will increase the host's next attack. The energy of the runes dropped by 3,500,000 points. Space froze, and battle chi slowed down. Jian Tianming's movements were sealed. Shadow Sky, piercing arrow. His fingertips released the bowstring, and the Five Dragons' imperial spear was like the sharpest arrow in the world. Dark light flashed like lightning, and the arrow light carried a spiral wind blade and a wisp of dark light. It seemed to jump through space and instantly shot toward Jian Tianming. What kind of combat skill is this? Jian Tianming's pupils trembled in fear. He used almost all his strength to break free from the restraints of the slowing rune. The Five Dragons' imperial spear was still in front of him. Before he could even use the space jade slip that contained the holy power on his waist, the spear transformed into an arrow and shot towards him. Rip! Boom! The Five Dragons' imperial spear pierced through Jian Tianming's body. The buff from Sovereign's Descent increased Lin Chen's attack by more than 30 times. With Lin Chen's current cultivation increased by 30 times, it was far more than before. Bang! Jian Tianming's body shattered like a rock and suddenly exploded. The Ling Jian mountain behind him turned into fine powder, and thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were crushed. The arrow shattered the entire earth vein, and the foundation of the ground was overturned. It was a shocking sight. The moment his body exploded, attribute light balls scattered all over the sky. Unlike ordinary experts, Jian Tianming was the descendant of the first-generation false god. Moreover, it was highly likely that he had more than 2 types of false god bloodline. The attribute light balls that he dropped were in the hundreds. It was a shocking amount and extremely high quality. The colorful attribute light balls connected together like a dazzling galaxy. Lin Chen sucked in a cold breath. At least 4 later stage, 9th level combat emperors can drop these attribute light balls. The descendant of the first-generation false god is not just for show. Lin Chen activated the Dragon Emperor and took away all the attribute light balls without hesitation. Obtained 4,500 points of metal energy, 9,800 points of mental energy, 400,000 points of rune energy, 48, 5 million points of battle aura essence, 290,000 points of cultivation technique essence. Open 9 purple crystal treasure chests. Obtained 800,000 talent points, 1 million points of rune energy, 3,000 points of blank attribute points. When he took in the attribute light balls, Lin Chen also took a space jade scroll that contained holy energy. All of Jian Tianming's items had been destroyed, but this item remained unscathed. This was the space jade scroll that protected hundreds of combat emperors when they left the spiritual state. It was made by a saint or above. This space jade scroll seems to lead directly to the headquarters of the false god. Ha ha ha. Good stuff. It's time for my 5-blow thunderstruck show. The corners of Lin Chen's mouth curled up in a cruel and wild laugh. He put away the jade slip. Originally, Lin Chen only came here to rob. He had not planned to take the heads of these guys. However, Jian Tianming was a potential threat. If he did not kill him, Lin Shen would not feel at ease. In one's life, there were some people and beliefs that one had to protect. He could not allow any potential threats. At this moment, the experts scattered. They were still in a state of shock. The power of that arrow was too terrifying. Lord Jian Tianming was pierced by this kid's arrow. It's too terrifying. This kid's combat strength is far beyond that of an ordinary late Ninth Heaven Combat Emperor. No one in the entire 9 states could suppress him. While the leaders of the various forces were in shock and fear, Lin Shen's clones and the Dragon Emperor broke through the encirclement. No one dared to stop them. 8 Desolation Finger. Lin Shen and his clones unleashed an 8-colored finger of energy. It shot to the bottom of the sacred elixir square and destroyed the true God Palace. Smoke billowed. Countless experts did not dare to stop Lin Shen from leaving. When they looked at the spaceship behind the true God Palace again, many experts' faces changed. Oh no, our men did not stop the robbers from robbing the spaceship. F***CK. My family's 10,000 years of accumulation was destroyed in a day. I was planning to offer a tribute to the true God in exchange for a chance to cleanse my holy body. Only the eyes of the 5 late-stage 9th-level old monsters, who were the leaders, were filled with shock. Their figures flashed as they teleported through the void. They quickly rushed into the spatial ship and looked around. Gone. That little girl is gone? How is that possible? Even if she's dead, we must see her corpse. That little girl is someone that the great true God personally asked for. Lin Shen, you mother asterisk cur. Fuck you. Countless roars and roars rose and fell. Killing intent soared to the sky. The sacred elixir city was in chaos. If Lin Shen insisted on fighting again, he would definitely be able to eliminate a group of enemies. However, this was not the purpose of his trip. Robbing was only a part of his operation. His main purpose was to create hatred. However, the little girl in white that he encountered in the spaceship was indeed out of Lin Shen's expectation. In a desert in the starry sky of the Dan state, the little girl in white covered her arm. Her ears were red and her eyes were like stars. She stared at the smirking Lin Shen in front of her with vigilance. Lin Mao rubbed his hands and chuckled. Little girl, don't worry. I'll just rub it. It won't flow out. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.